Just come here, stand here. It's okay. Come here, stand here. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, we're starting in 1 minute. So you'll be setting this up for continuous power supply. I just want to do the official start. Yeah, just let everybody introduce.
Just let me know before you start. Okay.
Just in 1 minute, basically. In 1 minute, we are starting. So this will need some power, right? You can go all the way back. Opposite. Give me that. Give me that side. Give me that side. So inshallah, let's everybody take a seat. Okay.
He's supposed to be invisible.
So ready? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين. So I welcome all of you on behalf of Why Islam, a project of ICNA, as well as East Plano Islamic Center. We have our first of 8 series program, The Call and the Caller. This effort is organized especially by our youth and Why Islam in order to inculcate the spirit of Dawa. Our goal is first, we understand our deen, we get the confidence, we get our questions answered, and inshallah with that, we will also want you to have the confidence to be able to give others the message of Islam. As Prophet ﷺ did all his life. That was the main purpose of his nubuwah and all of the prophets, to save people from the hellfire and give them the good news of Jannah, inshallah. So that's our goal. So I'll introduce Brother Arsalan Haq, who is also an intern for Why Islam. Alhamdulillah, he did a great job. He put up together a team of 12, along with Epic Youth, 12 to 15 folks. So Jazakallah khair for all the team, for everyone. They did most of the work, alhamdulillah. And for today's program, our MC is Brother Talha. He did a great job designing the flyer as well. So Talha, he will introduce the Sheikh Fahad, and then inshallah we'll move to the program. So just to give you, and he'll also provide the details about the breaks and everything, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you all for joining us. We're very happy to have you all here today at our first session, inshallah, first of 8, like Brother Abed said. With us today, alhamdulillah, we have a graduate first from Michigan State University, then from the University of Southern California, and then he studied Arabic at Georgetown University, and now he is studying Middle Eastern Studies at the University of Texas at Austin. And we're very, very fortunate to have him with us all the way from Houston. He's also the head of U.S. outreach for IERA. IERA is probably the world's foremost Dawah organization today. They are doing Dawah in dozens and dozens of countries and have distributed hundreds of thousands of pamphlets and musahif and materials, and have converted many, many people. Alhamdulillah, Allah has through them shown many people the light of Islam. From Houston, it's Brother Sheikh Fahad Taslim. He will be doing the class today, inshallah. And I'll leave it to him, inshallah. I'll get you guys more information about the breaks and all that. Jazakumullah khairan.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulih al-Kareem amma ba'd. So welcome to today's session. Before I get started and I go straight into the material, I see that a lot of you are here, you've got your pens out, you've got your notebooks, and you're ready to go, mashallah. And I really love that spirit. It's excellent, right? But the thing is, because this is a Dawah training session, you may not be using your notebooks as much. In fact, you will probably be having a lot of interaction in this session, okay? So I know you guys have maybe gone to other Dawah training classes maybe, and we'll get into that in a second, where you were taking notes and they talked about the fadail of Dawah and the Quran related to Dawah and the Hadith, and that's great, and we'll speak about some of that. But really, what my objective today is to get you guys not only extremely motivated to call people to Islam, but also to give you a sense of confidence. Because a lot of times you can take information in, and it's just information. It's just floating around in your mind. And when you're presented with a scenario, you're stuck. All right? How does that sound to you guys today? Energized? No? So I'm from Houston, right? So I already have this kind of this perception of Dallas. So when I ask questions, everyone's like, I'm going to go back to Houston and be like, see, I told you, right? So you guys ready to go? Okay, good. All right, let's get started in earnest. All right, so let's start with this. Why did you come here today? And I'm not asking myself this. I know why I'm here. And by the way, if the sisters are sitting thinking like, we're exonerated or we're exempt, you're in for a big surprise. Okay, so why did you come here today? Someone give me a reason. Besides, Arsalan's excellent marketing. I don't know what he promised you guys. Why did you come here today? Yes, why did you come today? Okay, to get more involved, to get more tools. Okay. Anybody else? Why are you here today? Why are you here today? You're sitting in the front, mashallah, bismillah. I like the kameez. It's very beautiful, mashallah. Okay. Okay, all right. So how to deal with questions, tough questions. Okay, good. Anybody else? Any sisters? How many people have been to a Dawah training session before, or a workshop or a course? Raise your hands. Nice and high. This I can't really see. Okay, so a lot of you haven't. All right, sisters, how many have you been to Dawah training session? Okay, good. Let me see the hands again. How many people have been to a Dawah training session? All right, which session did you go to, or what was the... Who did it, or what was it? What was it? Where was it? What was it? Nice and louder? A different city. Uh-huh. In Ohio. Okay, all right. Ohio, that's far away from here, but okay, inshallah. Sisters, who had their hands up? Dawah training sessions. Yes, what did you attend, or where, when? Oh, Dr. Sabil Ahmed. Hafidullah. Okay, excellent. Good. Okay, so let's get started in earnest. So we talked about that. So course objectives. I don't know if this is up there or not, but I'll read them out really quick. And by the way, just because I have slides doesn't mean I want you to focus on the slides. Right? We'll send you a copy of the slides. Don't worry about it. You don't have to sit there, write them down. Try to focus on the course and not just reading the slides, okay? So real quick, what are course objectives? To understand why Dawah is an important part of your everyday life, to understand the benefits and rewards of Dawah, like I said, to give confidence, how to connect with non-Muslims, and then develop your sincerity when it comes to Dawah, okay? This is what we're going to cover today. You guys have 7 more sessions after this. You guys will be getting deeper into like atheism. We'll cover a little bit about that today because we're going to be speaking about the fitrah. You guys have other areas we'll be covering, the Quran, etc., the Prophet ﷺ, and so on. So today is really where A, you're going to hopefully develop some confidence, B, have a little bit of interaction, and kind of get introduced to Dawah, and then understand a solid methodology by which you can answer any single question that comes your way. Is that a big claim? What do you guys think? If I told you, after you leave today, you can answer any question anyone gives you. Like, what's the toughest question you got? You don't remember? Man, okay. Who's got a tough question? Nobody came here with questions? They're just... Okay, yeah, what's the toughest question you got? Ooh, what's your stance on the LGBTQ, etc.? I don't know how many letters they have now, but okay. Good one. We'll tackle it, believe it or not. Okay, tough questions. Anyone from here? Sisters never get questions, right? Yeah, way back there, nice and loud. The Prophet's wives, what about them? The large number of wives. Okay, all right, excellent. Okay, so if I told you that when you leave here today, you'll be able to deal with those questions and other questions you had in your mind, right? With the exception of some related to like atheism and things like that, but by and large, I want to give you the tools by which you can take a question and basically make dawah via the question, okay? Okay, we already kind of covered that. Let's go really quickly, and if you've been to a dawah training course before, you probably have covered some of these other things, which is related to number one, what is dawah? So what do we mean by dawah? Am I going too fast? Yes, what is dawah? What is dawah? Preaching. Any preaching? Islam. Okay, good, alhamdulillah. I do that with my kids all the time. I was like, what's the khutbah about? You went for Jummah, so what did you hear in the khutbah? He's like, oh, it was great. I was like, what was it about? He was like, Islam. I'm like, are you sure? He wasn't talking about like something else? Anyway, okay, good. That's a good one. Okay, what is dawah, sisters? Yes? Okay, talking about tawheed? Excellent. Is dawah a protest related to Palestine? Is that dawah? How many people say that's dawah? How many people say it's not dawah? It is dawah. How many people are not really sure? How many people are getting annoyed by me asking a lot of questions? All right, we have a few. All right. So we're not 100% clear on what dawah is then, right? If I said, okay, if there's a presentation at your local college and they're going to be talking about the importance of social justice in Islam, is that dawah? Yes? Why? You didn't think I was going to follow it up with a question. Yes, why? Why is that dawah? Yes? See, I'm looking at you, I'm asking you.
Okay, so it is actually dawah because it explains, a concept in Islam that shows the justice system of Islam. So it's part of explaining what Islam is, the beauty of it, the justice of it. It's part of dawah.
Okay, all right, so because it explains an aspect of Islam. All right, anyone disagree with him? So as long as you're explaining a concept about Islam, that's dawah? Who said no? You did. Okay. So what is dawah then? I mean, if someone says like, oh, so you guys walk into the masjid and you're supposed to walk in with your right foot, right? So if you're going to explain why, is that dawah? Or first of all, why? Why do we walk in on the right foot, not the left, when we walk in the masjid?
Because we are following the Prophet.
Okay. So if a non-Muslim asks, you'd be like, we're following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead. So why is that? Go ahead. Yeah.
Basically, anytime if you tell someone the truth,
Yeah.
that's basically a dawah.
Okay. So anytime you tell someone the truth, that's dawah.
Truth, basically what I mean by truth is haqq.
Haqq. Okay.
So that's dawah.
That's dawah.
And that is related to Islam because Islam is a haqq. And any haqq you can
Okay. So any truth is related to Islam, and you can always relate Islam to any truth. Okay. Don't worry, we're not going to get too philosophical today. Well, we might, a little bit. I have that weakness, anyways. Okay. So let's start off with a very basic definition of what dawah is, okay? Before we get into the details, what it is, what it's not. Linguistically, the word comes from da'a, right? Yad'u, which means to call or to invite. So now there's a couple of questions that would come. Okay, is dawah debate? Like when you go into someone and basically show how their religion is totally false. I mean, that is the truth, right? That's the truth, right, guys? That everything besides Islam that presents itself as the truth is false. Is that true? Sisters are very quiet on this side. Is that true? Yeah. No? Like I said, I'm going back to Houston, so I've like the brothers, mashallah, the sisters, I don't know. Right? Okay. So yes, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just saying that if you talk about religion,
Yeah.
the concept of the religion.
Okay. All right. Theology, philosophy, etc. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's look at the other aspect of inviting someone. Well, let me go back to the question. Is it debate, though? Like when someone's arguing with you about a point, right? Does God exist? And you're in the debate with them. Are you making dawah to them? Who said yes? Nice and low. Raise your hand. Who said yes? Yes. Okay. So when you're debating someone about whether God exists, that is dawah? Always? Okay. So it's always dawah. Whenever you're having a discussion with someone and you're trying to, let's say, prove the existence of God, that's always dawah. A little bit louder. Sorry? Okay, from your perspective, you're trying to show there's a creator. Okay. But my question is that if you are in a conversation and you are in a heated conversation with someone trying to show them that Allah exists, is that always dawah? Sisters, is that always dawah? No, why?
Because it depends on the person who's receptive to what you're saying.
Ah.
Say makes a big difference because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to call him in the most beautiful manner that we're
Exactly. Good. Very good. So I don't know if you heard what the sister said. That's a point for the sisters. Anyway, but she says it's not always dawah because it really does depend on the interaction that you're having. Did I capture that correctly, sister? So in essence, sometimes when you're in an argument, and just because you're trying to argue the point that is Islam and that is correct, it might not be dawah. Why wouldn't it be dawah? Yes? Your what? Okay, very good. Your intention's messed up. Because at a certain point, and for those people who have tried to make dawah like this in a debate setting, what happens to your intention? You may start off doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Like we want this person to be guided. But in the middle of the debate, when he says, well, what do you Muslims know anyways? You guys just blowing things up. All of a sudden, what happens to your intention? What okay, let me tell you now, right? Bam, your intention's gone. Now it's to win the argument. And like the intention for the sake of Allah, gone. Masalama. Right? So, the second aspect of the definition is that it's to invite someone. Right? When you're going to be speaking to someone, you're trying to give them an invitation to khair, an invitation to good. You would never invite someone to your house in a debate type format. Like, hey man, you better come to my house. Let me tell you why, 5 reasons. And let me tell you why you're wrong if you don't come. Well, what kind of invitation is that? Right? So the point is that dawah is very multifaceted. It's not just a debate. It's not just winning the argument. It's not just rational arguments. It's actually trying to win the heart of the person you're speaking to. Because the very idea when it comes to dawah is that you want good for this person. Correct? Yes? No? Okay, good. So let's look at some of the ayat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions عُدُعْ إِلَى سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. This is something that we just kind of spoke about. So call or invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom, hikmah, good instruction, and argue with them. Jidal with them, but not just jidal, not just any type of argumentation, but an argumentation that is proper, that's good. So we're not saying you're not supposed to argue with people, but there's a technique by which you're going to look inside yourself. What's your intention? What is the person's disposition? Are they really understanding what you're saying? And should you stop and just take a break, right? All those things are related to dawah, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْحَوْنَ عَلَى الْمُنْكَرِ. So let there arise from amongst you a group of people who will call towards the good, al-khair, and they will enjoy al-ma'ruf, the good, I guess, and forbid the evil. Now, how many people speak Arabic? 1, 2, okay, so all of my Arabic speakers, what is the difference between the word khair and ma'ruf? Actually, let me ask some of the sisters. Who speaks Arabic here? Okay, what's the difference between ma'ruf and khair? What do you think? It's good. Okay, give it a shot. Good at a lower level. Okay, and ma'ruf is good at a higher level. Yeah, no or yes or? Guys, if you think this is the hot seat and this is pressure, we'll give it about 15 minutes. Okay, yeah. Anybody else? Yes. Okay. So ma'ruf is things that everybody knows. Right. Very good. Okay, it's recognized, it's in the society, and khair is just in general, right? Any of the brothers want to chime in?
Whatever general public knows that is good.
Yes. Right. Okay. So here's what's interesting. You know, when you look at some of the tafsirs related to this particular ayah, some of the ulama say that when you're calling towards al-khair, you're calling towards Allah, because Allah is the source of al-khair. Like anything good, the only reason how you even know whether something is good or something is not good is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Right? Like, why do you prefer truth over falsehood? It's a very fundamental question. But why is truth good and falsehood bad? If you have no concept of Allah, you could say the opposite and you're good. Right? Now that's getting a bit philosophical. We'll get into that a little later, okay? But khair in this context is related to calling towards Allah. But ma'ruf, as a comparison, is that good which is already known, right? That's why the term, one of the terms that they use in Arabic for culture is urf, arafa, to know something. So that which is known in society, or that's known within people, that's what you're trying to enjoin. Now what's very interesting is that a lot of people think that they're trying to take someone from what they're upon to Islam. They want them to convert to Islam. But the thing is, the fact that they have a fitrah within inside of themselves, you're not trying to get them to change and convert. You're trying to get them to recognize who they truly are. You're calling them to their reality, what they already know. So a lot of times when we make barriers to like why I should not give dawah, one of the things is, well, you know, the thing is that this person, I mean, he doesn't really understand. And in reality, because Islam is the truth and Allah has built us to recognize the truth from within, it's going to be something that immediately captures them. And you'll see this from a lot of the du'at that make da'wah very often. You would think that da'wah is some very long process. How many people have done street da'wah? Anybody? I know it's Dallas, it's hot, so. Okay, we got Arsalan back there. You done street da'wah? Have you given anyone a shahada? No? Anyone given anyone a shahada? Arsalan, was it really, really hard? Did you spend 12 years on it, or how long did it take you? How long? Lunch. Over lunch. Now you're like, oh, that's wrong. You can't just over lunch. You know, it takes him out to a meal, and the next you know, by the time he's done, that's it. Why though? Why is because you're not converting them to something that's alien. We think that Islam to them is totally alien. They don't know anything about thobes and shalwar kameez and they don't know anything about that. But the reality is they do know Allah. And they do know that Allah is worthy of worship. And that's what essentially you're calling them to anyways. So when you're enjoining the good, you're actually enjoining that which is already built inside of them. So your job is not to convert them. Your job is for them to recognize their own reality. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, so that's why I said our duty is to convey, not to convert, and that guidance comes from Allah. Now, guidance comes from Allah. You know, sometimes I'll talk to people and they say, okay, well, guidance comes to Allah, so why bother making da'wah? What do you think? I mean, if guidance comes from Allah, then we're just wasting our time, right? Everyone should just go home.
We have to do our part.
You have to do our part. Okay, what is our part?
To invite them to understand and obey
Okay.
Allah.
So our part is the invitation, right? Sister, I saw a hand up. Sorry. I know you're up there, but just, yes, way back there, yes. Yes.
When people say that, it reminds me of like the concept of charity. Like if provisions from Allah, then why should we give charity?
Charity, okay. Sorry, I thought you said cherry. I was like, that's a new one. Okay, charity. Okay. If provision is from Allah, then why bother giving charity? Right? Yeah, exactly, right? So we do our part, but is our part to take someone and convert their hearts? No, our part is just a simple act of invitation. Now, why am I mentioning this? Like, this is my, okay, you know what? These are concepts that we almost already know. Why I'm trying to kind of instill this within you guys is because when you're about to make da'wah, a lot of times we make excuses of why we should not call people to Islam. Okay? This is one of them. Allah guides, I don't have to worry about it. Okay? Anyone else have any other excuses? How many people have heard the excuse of, I don't have enough knowledge? How many people have heard that before? Okay, does anyone think that they don't know enough? Okay, 1, 2, a whole bunch of people. Sisters, you guys think you don't know enough? Okay. And I think that's a very interesting one. You guys know you're Muslim, right? No, for the people that raise their hands, you guys know you're Muslim? Yes? No, that should be like a loud, like, yes, we know we're Muslim, alhamdulillah, right? This is, you got, Epic's reputation going here. It's going to go across, like, I don't do this course just here. I do it all over the US. So, all right. So you're Muslim, right? Okay, why? Silence. Why are you Muslim? From the people that raise their hands, that yes, we need more knowledge. Yes. It's the truth. How do you know that? The Quran. That's the only way you know that? And the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, that's the only way you know that? Okay, miracles and signs. Which miracles and signs did you see recently? Parents, family, okay, maybe. All right. It makes sense. Who said that? Okay. All right, that's a good one. It makes sense. I mean, are we Muslim just because our parents are Muslim? Because frankly, that might not be the best reason, right? But here's the thing. You're Muslim because you believe that Allah exists, all right? You believe that Allah is worthy of worship alone. You believe that the Prophet ﷺ spoke the truth when he said that he is the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes? Okay. This, what I just told you, is what brings you to the fold of Islam. And this is something you already know. So when you say, I don't have enough knowledge, what you're saying is, I don't have enough knowledge to express this very fact. Let's put it this way. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh, on the very first day, first of all, when he first became Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ mentions that he was the only person that did not have to think about Islam. When he was presented with Islam, he didn't flinch. Immediately just accepts Islam. Right? Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. Okay? And on the very first day, anyone know how many people he brings into Islam? 5, 6, there's different narrations. So between 5 and 7, and we're talking really good quality shahadas, right? Because these 5, 6, 7 were the ones who were promised paradise. On the very day he becomes Muslim, he's bringing them into Islam. Okay, let's stop here for a second. How much Quran was revealed at this point? Very little. So you talk about, we need to have all this knowledge, and yet in the very beginning, there's not even Quran. And he's bringing in 7, in some narrations, of the Ashra Mubashir, 7 of the 10 who were promised paradise. So you have to think, hold on a second, if knowledge is my excuse, how come Abu Bakr didn't have that excuse? Because did he know something in those very early days that you don't know? Well, he probably knew that I have enough to call people to the truth. Because anytime you know something to be true, it's a part of good character for you to call to that truth, right? That's why they say the hallmark of the Prophet ﷺ was compassion. Yes or no? If he saw someone suffering, he wouldn't just walk by, right? Never. But the thing is, we take that when it comes to let's say social projects, feeding the poor and all of these things. But when it comes to Dawah, our frame of reference all of a sudden changes. We forget that the thing is that the Prophet ﷺ had compassion for people. Why? Because he didn't want to see them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, enter the hellfire. Yes or no? And it's because of his compassion that you and I are Muslim today. Yes or no? And so now the question is, when you compare yourself to the Prophet ﷺ, do you have that compassion for all of society that's walking around? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put you in a position here, this group of Muslims, in this ocean of non-Muslims. And how many times do you just walk by and see people and not even think twice, that this person, maybe they're searching for the truth. And I didn't tell them one thing about Islam. Look, you remember, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was in Medina, some people say the Meccan phase, for those of you who study Sira, was the Dawah phase. And then the Medini phase was a different phase, right? But now in the Medini phase, when he was in Medina sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a Jewish young boy who used to work for the Prophet ﷺ is dying. So one of the companions goes to the house of the Prophet ﷺ and says, that young Jewish boy, he's about to die. So the Prophet ﷺ, gets his cloak, wears his clothes, and rushes out. So much so that the narrator says, I had trouble keeping up with the Prophet ﷺ. So now he walks into this boy's house. This boy is clearly about to die. And the boy's father, this Jewish boy, his Jewish father is standing above him. And the Prophet ﷺ tells him what? Become Muslim. Say the Shahada. Right? Now you think the boy's father, and by the way, this was not a time when the Jews and the Muslims had good relations in Medina. Because in the beginning, relations were okay. Later on, this is when things were getting really bad. So the father says, obey Abul Qasim, obey the Prophet ﷺ. So the young boy, he says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And then he dies. And as the Prophet ﷺ walks out of the house, the narrator says, I looked at the Prophet ﷺ, he had tears in his eyes. And he said, Alhamdulillahi alladhi anqadahu bi minan nar. Alhamdulillah, all praise is due to Allah, that it was by me that he was saved from the hellfire. Allahu Akbar, right? How many times you would see people and that is the perception that you have? Or do you see people and you meet them every day? People you've worked with for years. You know, there was I'm trying to think and you know who Sheikh Kamal al-Makki is? Yeah? Okay, so he tells this thing about, they were at some million-man march in Washington, D.C. And just to kind of show you, like, all right, perception, right? Like whether these people deserve Islam or not or whatever. So he says, we're in this million-man march, and I see from the distance this guy who, he said, he scared me. He said he had hair like a chicken, all right, both sides shaved off. It was pink. He had tattoos everywhere on his body, like anywhere you can imagine. Piercings in places I didn't know you could have piercings, like through the nose, the tongue, everywhere. And on top of that, he says, I looked at him, he had white contact lenses, like he doesn't have eyeballs, right? That's what it seems like. So he's like, I'm giving dawah. I looked at him, he goes, man, I'm not giving dawah to this shaitan, and he walks away, right? So he goes, he says, I see a nice Caucasian couple, they're sitting there, their birds are flying, everything's great. I go over to get them dawah. And he says, a few minutes later, the brothers are saying, Sheikh, come back, come here, we have something. He says, I go back, that very same individual is taking his shahada. He says that guy said, I woke up this morning searching for Allah. So now, you know, Sheikh Kamal says that I don't care if you have a totem pole going through your nose, I'm going to give you dawah, right? So the thing is, A, compassion. One of the things that dawah does, it reflects your compassion for humanity, right? B, excuses when it comes to why you should not be making dawah. If knowledge is one of them, you already have the tools because you know tawheed and you know why you're Muslim, okay? And C, another one that came up from that story, perception. Who does not have the right to Islam? Can you think of anyone that does not have the right to know about Islam? No. Every single person, any single person, whatever their color, whatever their background, whether they're straight or gay, whatever it is, they have a right to know about Islam. And guess what? They're not going to know about Islam unless you tell them about Islam. Everyone with me so far? Okay. So, let's get into the concept of being holistic in dawah. All right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit for a second. Okay, you guys see this guy? It's kind of like the Sheikh Kamal al-Makki story. So this was him initially. This is him now, right? Kind of just highlights the story, but you get a visual perception of, or visual representation of kind of what happened, right? Don't let someone's looks, background, color, social class, whatever it might be, stop you from calling them to the truth. Because they have a right to Islam as much as any other person, no matter how rich or poor they are. Okay. All right. Let's look at some of the things. What does dawah do for you? You know, we're very selfish people, right? So we're going to make dawah, we're going to call people to Islam, save them from the hellfire. What does it do for you? Well, like I just mentioned, it develops empathy. Right? How so? Well, because if you're making dawah, you're developing this idea that you're trying to save this person from the hellfire. So it gives you this quality of developing empathy within themselves, right? Like the Prophet ﷺ said, that the likeness of me and you is that of a man who lit a fire and grasshoppers and moths started falling into it, and he tried to push them away. I am seizing your waistbands, trying to pull you away from the fire, but you are trying to get away from me. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Right? Now look, like, you have to really ask yourself, when you think about the life of the Prophet ﷺ, the mission of the Prophet ﷺ, and you compare it to your life, where are we? What was his main objective when it came to, like, let's say even the Meccan phase? Right? It was because he had this compassion for people. All right. One of the other aspects of da'wah is that you get to be the people who are best in speech. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَى إِلَى اللَّهِ. Who is the one who is better in speech than the one who calls to Allah? And the scholars say that what it means is that nobody, it's a rhetorical question, nobody is better in speech than the one that calls to Allah. All right? Now, let's get in some of the rewards. Again, we are very selfish people. So what do you get out of it? What do you get out of it? Help me out. Let's see. Yaqeen. What's your name, man? Sorry. What is it? Uthman. Uthman, what do you get out of, what are the rewards of da'wah? What do you know about? Don't read the slide. Let me get out of it. All right. What are the rewards of da'wah? What do you think? Okay, so there's a pleasure in seeing someone. How many people have seen a shahada? Okay, a lot of sisters. You guys feel good about it? Like, yeah. Did it feel good? You guys are a quiet bunch, man. Did it feel good? Yes. Okay. Did it give you a little more confidence? Like, wow, we're upon the truth. Okay. All right. So you get to see. Okay, so that's one, let's say, reward in a sense. What about reward? Like, what happens? You make da'wah to this person, then you die. So are you gonna, is that gonna come up later on and be like, hey man, you guided this person to Islam. Here's what you get. So I guess I'm asking is, what do you get at the end? What do you get? MashaAllah. You get sadaqah jariyah. You guide this person to Islam. Okay? Let's say they become very strong, inshallah. They become very strong Muslims. They get married. They have children. Their children have children. Their children are still on Islam. They get married. They have children. All of the deeds that they do until the end are in your account without taking away from their account. Right? So you know the ayah in the Quran, Inna atayna kal kawthar. Right? Indeed, we have given you al-kawthar. So obviously we know that that's a river. But some of the mufassirin say al-kawthar comes from kathara, right? Which means a lot. Meaning, the Prophet ﷺ has been given a lot of what? The fact that the Prophet ﷺ was the first person to guide everyone means he not only gets the reward of the things that he did, but every single person that did anything, he gets rewarded for that. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Kawthar, right? But you can have that opportunity too. Right? I feel like a salesman now. You can get it too. Sign up now, right? Why? Because you guide this person. You know, imagine you guided someone to Islam. You show up on the Day of Judgment with all of our sins, and all of us sin, right? And yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look, you have this mountain of deeds. And you're thinking, wait a minute, how? Where did that come from? Well, you remember that one individual that you spoke to about Islam, guided him to Islam. He became Muslim, his family became Muslim, his children became Muslim, they memorized the Quran. You memorized the Quran, 25,000 times. You're like, man, I only know like 3 surahs, right? But you get the reward for everyone that did it after that. So the rewards are immense, right? Okay. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever guides another to a good deed will get a reward similar to the one he performs. He says, by Allah, if Allah were to guide one man through you, it would be better for you than the best type of camels. Humratun na'am, right? Like these red camels. And people sometimes they don't understand the context of this. So let me give you a little bit of background. So when the Prophet ﷺ, after the Battle of Khandaq, when he was going to go attack the Jewish tribes, one of the Jewish tribes, they had a lot of wealth. And this is a time when the Muslims it's very early on when they haven't seen this much wealth. That much wealth has not come into the Muslim community. So they're looking at this, all of the wealth that they have, and they're amazed. And Ali radiallahu anh, he's amazed, right? And the Prophet ﷺ is basically telling him, he said, look, by Allah, if you guide one person to Islam, in other words, you see all of this in front of you, all this wealth, all of these riches, guiding one person to Islam is better than all of that. It's as if the Prophet ﷺ is saying that. Because Humratun Na'am, the red camels, were the best of camels. In one narration, it's ad-dunya wa ma fiha, right? All of the world and everything in it. The reward, right, of guiding someone to Islam. Okay. It's self-defining. How are we doing on time? You know, I usually have a timekeeper. For this, 20 minutes? Okay, good. Okay. So it's self-defining. You know, one of the best things about Dawah, and this is why I actually like to do Dawah on college campuses. Because when you're on a college campus, one of the things that a lot of Muslims are struggling with is identity. Like, what makes you you? You know, like you're a Muslim, okay. One of the things that Dawah does is it gives you that identity. And it gives you a strong reason to be on that identity. And it gives you just the people you surround yourself with. The action that you're doing, you're calling them to Islam, and you have to have a certain level of confidence to do that. So it fortifies your identity of being a Muslim. It's self-defining. You are a da'iyah now. You're someone that's calling someone to the truth of Islam. So it's self-defining. All right. Here's the interesting one. It gives you a strong connection with the Quran. Now I want to tell you, when we read the Quran, a lot of times we'll read certain ayat, and because we perhaps don't have the background or the context, we kind of think, okay, that's nice, and you move on. I was reading something the other day, and I believe it was the commentary of Maulana Maududi, rahimahullah, right? He said something which really stuck out to me. He said that, you know, the beginning ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah related to the hypocrites? He said, if you really think about it, you won't really appreciate these ayat unless you are part of some sort of activism. Because the stages of hypocrisy, like we think of a hypocrite as someone that just doesn't believe in Islam but is outside, he's Muslim, right? He goes, but if you, like, hypocrisy has stages. You start off with the weakness of Iman. So everyone's got this great campaign, this is the truth, you like the truth, you accept it. But you're not 100% secure on it. And so as people move forward, you know, challenges start to happen. And when you start being confronted with challenges, you're either with the group or you start to now pull back slowly. And as more challenges come on, then you just pull back slowly. So hypocrisy, nifaq, is not something that just happens. It's something that they start off with du'af al-iman, yeah? They start off with weakness of iman, and then they come to the point where it's like, you know what? They're going out for battle. There's no way I'm going to do that. So that's the end result. So what's interesting is when it comes to the Quran, the ayat of the Quran, you really sometimes don't get an appreciation of those ayat until you're actually part of some sort of activism that's related to those ayat, right? And Dawah is no different. I'll give you an example. So we were in New York last year. We were making street Dawah. I think it's Union Station. So I'm talking to this guy, and I'm telling him, look, you should take this copy of the Quran. We had a nice discussion. I'm like, you should take this copy of the Quran. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm just, you know, I'm kind of a free spirit, whatever that means. I don't know. Anyway, and I don't want to take this copy from you and this and that. I'm like, look, there's no harm in you reading it. You like to read, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so if you like to read, you know, put aside Harry Potter for 5 minutes, just give it a shot, right? And so I'm having this, and as I'm having this conversation with him, this guy, I kid you not, like I'm already short, and so he may have looked much taller than he actually was, but massive guy, right? Comes up, he's got like tattoos, muscles everywhere, it's huge. And he comes up, he goes, hey man, what are you doing here? And I turn around, I'm like, whoa, and he's massive. So I'm like, hey man, we're just calling people to the beauty of the truth, right? And so he's like, I know you people. I was in the military, right? I killed plenty of you in Iraq. Wow. And I'm like, oh no, right? Like, might not make it home. You want to know why I thought that? Because he said, I killed plenty of you in Iraq, and I have a gun in my car. I should go get it and add to that list. Now, okay, let's stop for a second. Let's be real, right? Yes, being strong Muslim and all of that, that's great. But when you're in that situation, khalas, all that's out the door, right? When someone's like, I'm going to kill you, and you see your life flashing before you, you're like, wow, do I continue? What do I do, right? So now, I'm like, and so we had one of our film guys. He was a big, I don't want to say African-American, but he's from the UK. So he's African, but I don't know what they call him, British. Anyways, whatever. He's massive too. So he steps in. He's like, is there a problem here? He's like, yeah, I'm going to go, and I'm going to take all of you, and I'm going to take all of you down and just blow all of you. Alhamdulillah, the NYPD showed up. Now that's a very rare statement, I think, for people in New York. Alhamdulillah, the NYPD showed up. But anyway, so Alhamdulillah, the NYPD shows up, they take him away. But you know what really struck me? Was that I started thinking about the Dawah of the prophets, and specifically the Prophet ﷺ. How many times was his life at stake? Think about it. You're not gonna, when those ayat come about the prophets and them talking to their people, like some of Bani Israel killing the prophets, it's a completely different perspective when you read those ayat now. And by the way, the guy that I was talking to, he was Latino. And he's like, you know what? I think I'll take that Quran now. Right? He really wanted it after that because his life flashed before his eyes. So one of the benefits of Dawah as well is that it gives you a stronger connection to the Quran. Because it's not just you reading ayat and trying to understand them. You're living some of those ayat. Because how much of the Quran is about the prophets and messengers calling people to Islam? Big chunks, right? Okay. I'm going to skip that one. Characteristics of the du'at. Let me go through them very quickly. Because they're shared amongst other acts of worship. Number one, sincerity. We talked about that, the idea of debating and how sincerity goes out the window, right? Ikhlas in any act of worship that you do, why is it important? This is epic masjid, man. I heard Sheikh Yasir Qadi's here. He hasn't talked about Riyah yet? All right. Why is sincerity important? Why is ikhlas important? Forget dawah for a second, in any act. It's what matters. Okay. No, okay. So is your worship accepted without sincerity? Without ikhlas? Like, can you do something just because? Or for some other reason? Or for some other person? Sisters? No, right? Okay. Dawah is no different. Remember that context I talked about when you're in a debate, if your sincerity is shifting, it's time to take a step back. Because your objective is not debate and winning the debate. Your objective is pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And ikhlas, I'm telling you, in the realm of dawah, it will be tested like you cannot imagine. Because someone will say something to you about your faith, you will get offended, and then immediately you'll start getting into defensive mode. That's not how it is. Like I remember when I was at USC, University of Southern California, we had a dawah table. And so what happens is a lot of times also that when someone says something about your faith, you just get into defensive mode, right? So there was a sister there, and someone comes up and tells her, he says, you people, you just go around killing people. And your prophet was just a prophet of war. Now, she got so upset. She said, you are a liar. The Prophet ﷺ never went to war. And I'm talking to someone else, like, whoa, what? Like Badr, Uhud, Khandaq. I mean, what? Like, but the thing is, she got so it was too much for her. So I asked one of the sisters, I was like, can you just talk to her because she's about to say something that's not even true. And later on, when you explain it to her, she'll understand. But right now, she's just really heated. Okay? Someone will say something about your deen that will cause you to say, I need to put this person in their place. Has that happened to anyone, by the way? Someone says something about Islam or the Prophet ﷺ that you said, you know what? Gloves are off. It's game over for this guy now. Sisters, anytime? No one has ever. YouTube, yeah, actually that does. YouTube comment section count, right? Because you could lose sincerity there too. It's not like, oh, I'm under YouTube, I have ikhlas, right? YouTube doesn't protect from that, unfortunately. All right, so take it from me, when you're making dawah to someone, you will get people, and especially in Texas, you will get people that will offend you. You have to develop a thick skin, and you have to keep in mind and refreshing your sincerity to Allah, because you get caught up in arguments you could not even imagine. You'll get into areas that you could never imagine. Stuff like cloning and who knows what, okay? Which are like, even the ulama don't have a sound decision on what that's halal, haram. But you'll be defending it like crazy, right? So sincerity, ikhlas. Okay, knowledge, all right, the Prophet ﷺ said, convey from me, even if it's one ayah. Again, yes, you need to have knowledge, but those knowledge can be in stages, depending on the people you speak to, the category of people. But in general, you already have the tools that you need. And as you grow in your knowledge, you can make your dawah better. All right, character. See, these are things, I do this dawah training, and I think that you guys already know this. Like, how many people think that you don't really need good character to make dawah? Anybody? No, obviously, right? You're not going to come to someone and be like just a really rotten person. Yes. Okay, what's up? Yeah. You should take a break and leave. Yeah, just be like, qalu salama. Just say, look, you know what? I'm a bit upset. Or maybe you don't even need to say that. Just be like, you know what? Let's take a break. You really have to learn to be able to calm the situation down, right? Not for yourself, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because then that gets into this idea, character. Because when you're mad, that's where bad character comes about. That's when you start saying things, and saying things maybe even about the other person, right? So that's why, da'wah isn't just about the appropriate rational argument. It has a lot to do with you, your spiritual state, your character, and your relationship with Allah as well, right? So character is important. I'm not going to get into that too detailed. Don't be harsh, be kind and gentle. I think that's kind of soft-heartedness, good manners. Okay. One of the main impediments to da'wah is ego. And I mean ego from both sides. The person you're speaking to and yourself. I would say, there is no impediment that can outdo ego. No impediment from the person you're speaking to and yourself, right? People think that if I have the right argument, I can, my da'wah will be effective, right? If you can prove to this person that God exists and that he's worthy of worship, then you have won the day. But the reality is, and this is from experience, people are not won over, and we'll see this in a slide later on, just because of the power of the rational argument. More than anything else, the thing that stops someone from coming to Islam is their ego. And you can think of example after example. Start from the very beginning, shaitan. What was it? He did not get the rationality? No. He understood, he saw Allah, he's interacting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels, everything. He knows a lot more than all of us. Yes or no? Right? So it wasn't that he didn't know, he didn't have the rational arguments. What was it that kept him? Kibr, ego, right? His ego didn't allow him. Okay, let's go a little forward. Why didn't Abu Jahl become Muslim? Anyone know? Because they went to Abu Jahl. You guys know? Okay, alhamdulillah. So don't give it away just yet. When they went to Abu Jahl, they said, look, man, this man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's claiming to be a prophet. Don't you think? He didn't say I'm not debating the claim, right? But the thing is that he's from Banu Hashim and we're from Banu Makhzum. And if they say they have a prophet and we don't have a prophet, I will never accept him. So he believes he's a prophet and he's not accepting him. Why? Because he was sent to their tribe and not our tribe. Nothing to do with the rational argument. Has to do with the ego. Now, one of the things that I'm hoping you'll go away with today is how to judge that in the person you're speaking with. Is this that the person's not getting my argument, or is it that it's just their ego? And then how do you deal with that? We'll talk about that, inshallah. Okay? So, and then that happens to yourself as well. We already spoke about that, right? Ego, I sincerely believe in my 15 years of experience within Dawah, I'm telling you, ego is the one thing that keeps people from coming to Islam. More than anything else. You could have the best rational argument ever, which you do. It has nothing to do with the situation. It's most of the time it's ego. All right, so we'll cover one more slide and then we'll break, or a few more, so 10 minutes of break. Okay, so the other thing is engaging people at their level. A lot of times, and I had this problem a lot, especially after finishing up at UT, because I was in Middle Eastern Studies department, and we studied a lot of philosophy and a lot of postmodernism and all this stuff, right? And it gave me this new perspective, like when the Prophet speaks about ilm la yanfa, like knowledge that has no benefit. I was like, man, I just spent 2 years with ilm la yanfa, right? Postmodernism and all this, madriyesh, whatever, right? So 2 years, anyway. The thing is that once you come out of that environment, you think everyone understands what you're talking about. So I talk about epistemology and, ontology and the ontological argument, the objective morality and all these things. And people just blank, they look at me like a deer in headlights, right? Like, what? Like, what are you talking? So the thing is, and this is just, again, it's coming from my own personal thing, is that you have to talk to people at their level. If you have someone that can understand that, great. But usually what I find is that the simpler you go, the better it is. Because you'll not only capture the person that won't understand all of that, nomenclature, another word, right? But you also have people that just, they can understand simple. And the thing is, what you're calling to is extremely simple, is it not? You're calling people to their own humanity and their own connection with the creator of the heavens and the earth. And it's that simple, right? So make sure you understand the person that you're talking to, which means you have to get some information about them. You don't just start going off and like, let me tell you why Islam is true. Don't know anything about them, what their background is, economic background, racial background, nothing. You just start, like they're people, they have Dawah speeches, like pre-prepared. So someone will come in, like there was like a cab driver, I think, and like he has his Dawah speech. Anyone steps in the cab, he's like, let me tell you about 10 things wrong with the Bible. Let me tell you 6 things wrong with this. And let me tell you why God exists. And he hasn't even asked the guy like what his name is. The guy could be an atheist, he could be a Christian, he could be, who knows? He could be Muslim, right? We've had that experience too. Like there was speaking of like why Islam, when I used to live in the tri-state area in Virginia, why Islam had a Dawah table. And so we had a whole bunch of brothers, no sisters, right? And this is why I say, by the way, like if you're going to make Dawah, you should take the sisters, right? In fact, even on college campuses, sisters do the majority of the work. And they're very, not to knock you guys, but in my experience, okay? Anyhow, so we're at this Dawah table, and what happens is this lady walks up to the table, and she's barely wearing anything. This is like a summer festival. We got this, and she's barely wearing anything. So all the brothers are like, no, you do it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm married. No, you do it, right? Nobody. So one poor guy, he goes up, and he's got like his material, and he's like, would you like some material about Islam? She's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm Muslim. And he's like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, right? So you have to find out about people, right? Like who are they before you just start going off into it, right? Okay, so engage with people at their level, find out about who they are, where they're coming from, and what their background is, okay? So let's go ahead and break here because the next section is where we kick up the interaction to like really high, inshallah. All right, you guys ready for that? Yes? All right, Bismillah. All right. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first session. Inshallah, we're going to have refreshments in the multi-purpose hall. Please try to be back at 3:45 and make sure you don't bring food inside the musalla. What up? Oh, okay. MashaAllah.
Assalamu alaikum. Hey, can I mention something to you guys real quick before you go? 3:45 means 3:45. Like I'm going to start whether you're here or not. So please make sure you're back at 3:45 because we have quite a bit to cover. Okay? Jazakumullahu khair.
Testing.
هلا أهلا وسهلا شخبارك. Inshallah, we'll be starting in a couple minutes. So everyone who's on break, please come back. And please don't bring food back inside the musalla, inshallah. All right, water, inshallah, should be fine. I don't know. Please don't let the board know I said this, though. Okay, inshallah, we'll be starting the next session right now. So if everyone could come in and take their seats. Another reminder that please do not bring food and drinks inside the musalla. Okay, so alhamdulillah, we've enjoyed the first hour of this a lot so far. Reminder though that this is the first of 8 sessions. This is a very introductory kind of class, and the week after next, inshallah, we're going to have Mufti Wasim Khan. He'll be talking more in depth about atheism and logic and the actual proofs for Islam. So we encourage you all, if you've enjoyed this class today, then please be back in 2 weeks for the second of 8 installments, inshallah. We are also very happy to see a lot of youth here today. This class is open for everyone, but we marketed it to youth specifically, inshallah, so that the youth can take this to their college campuses and their schools and spread Islam amongst the younger generation in this country. And so for that, at 5 p.m. inshallah, we're gonna have free pizza for all the youth in attendance. So stick around till then, inshallah, and we're gonna have free food for everyone. And I think that's it from me. I'll hand it back to Sheikh Fahad Taslim.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulil Kareem amma ba'd. I was just thinking as the brother was saying, like the pizza is available for the youth. I was like, Islamically, youth is like 40. So, I mean, is it, anyway. And then he said it for everyone, so he saved himself at the end, alhamdulillah. All right, mashallah. Okay, so the next section is really the thing that you want to take home today, all right? Now, I need to warn you guys is that this next section, it's interactive, and I'm not just being fallacious, or I'm not just doing it for fun, like not to, inshallah, there'll be some entertainment, but not to the extent like, okay, there's no point to this. There's a very significant point that this section is going to cover, and if you get that point and you take it home today, then inshallah my job is done, right? So this next section is, the first section was basically the intro to the intro. This is basically the section that you really want to kind of focus, listen, and make sure you take it in, inshallah, okay? So here's how this next section is going to work. I am going to basically do some Q&A. Now you're thinking, oh, so we can do Q&A, that's great. Like I can ask all the questions that I wanted to. And that would be totally false. Because what we're going to do in this section is we're going to play out some Dawah scenarios. And I am the one that's going to be asking you questions. I was like, what? Anyway, and we're going to see how you guys do. And there's a reason for that, which we'll get to. So, usually what I like to do in this, and by the way, sisters are not exempt. Just because you can't come up here doesn't mean that you're not going to be participating. So, I think we have a roaming mic. Where's our IT gentleman? It's right there. Okay, so when we get to the sister side, we're going to hand the mic over. And for the brothers, yeah, you guys don't have to come up. Right? So, here's how this is going to work. I'm going to pretend to be a non-Muslim. We're going to put you in different Dawah scenarios, different scenarios you might be in, work, school, whatever it might be. And we're going to see how you guys do. Sounds good? All right. So I need my first volunteer. I was about to say victim. And it could be brother or sister. And by the way, if you don't raise your hands and stuff, it's good for me because I just pick randomly. So anyone would like to do it themselves, or I can just start. All right, let's see. Who shall go first? Okay, we have a sister. Okay, bismillah. Can you get the mic on that side? So I told you guys, sisters, they're on the ball. Mashallah. Okay, ready?
Okay, inshallah.
Okay, bismillah. So what's your name, sister?
Haneen.
Hana?
Haneen.
Hanan.
Haneen.
Hani. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. All right. So what do you do? Do you work? Do you go to school?
Right now, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Are you pretending to be the non-Muslim right now?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll get there. Not just yet. She's ready, man. She's like, I got this, man. I'm a stay-at-home mom. You got a problem with that? All right. So, okay. So let's say Dawah turned action. Would you say like maybe when do you like coffee? Do you go to coffee shops?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes? Does Dallas have any good coffee shops? Ooh, he's like, oh, you can't be saying that in Dallas, man. Yeah? No?
There's always Starbucks, but...
Come on, man. All right. It's personal bias. Okay, so let's say that you're at a coffee shop. What kind of coffee do you like? Just regular, straight?
Lattes.
Lattes. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're about to get a latte.
Okay.
And I'll be Cindy.
Okay.
Okay? And so you're in line, all right? Let's all imagine this. You're in line, and I'm like, excuse me, and I'm Cindy now. So now we're in full role mode. So, excuse me.
Hi.
Hi. Listen, I had a question. I mean, I don't want to offend you or anything, but I noticed that you're wearing that thing on your head. So why do you guys wear that?
It's because I'm a Muslim,
Okay.
and it's just because I'm a Muslim.
So Muslims have to wear it?
If you're a Muslim woman, starting at puberty, we're supposed to cover everything except for our face and hands in front of men who aren't closely related to us.
Men who aren't close to, okay, but why?
Primarily, first, because it's a commandment in our religion, so it's kind of like we submit ourselves to God's will, and then...
But why would God want you to do that? I'm a bit confused. Like, what does God get out of it? Like, why does God want you to do that?
Usually, it's because to show people, so people can treat you for who you are, not just what you look like, and it's more pure for society.
Pure for society?
Yes.
What do you mean?
So...
Do you mean like modesty or something?
Yeah, essentially for modesty.
For modesty. So are you saying that I'm immodest? Okay, Jazakallah khair, sister. All right, who's next? All right, from the brothers, we'll go one sister, one brother. All right, so who wants to go? You guys have seen the sample? All right, you want to go? All right, come on up, Bismillah. No, you right there, the guy in the glasses, Bismillah. Trying to trap somebody else, like, pick him. I'm going to call him up. Yeah, but we need the mic, though, inshallah, so. All right. What's your name, man? Muhammad. All right. Muhammad, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. What do you do, Muhammad? Are you a student? Do you work? Do you
Student at UTD.
student at UTD? Okay. What are you studying?
Neuroscience.
Neuroscience. Allahu Akbar. Okay. So let's see. How far along are you? Like second year, third year, freshman, junior, sophomore? What are you?
Second year, yeah.
Okay. All right. So have you started your neuroscience classes yet?
Starting my third year, actually.
Third year. Have you started neuroscience classes yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's give me an example of a class you're going to be taking next semester.
Well, this semester I'm taking neurophysiology.
Wow.
So how pretty much the nervous system works.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be John.
Is this working?
All right. I think it's working. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll be John, and let's say that I'm in your class, right?
Hi,
It's in
John.
neurophysiology, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's say we have a project. We're going to meet, and we've known each other for a little while. So I'm like, hey, Muhammad, you ready for this project, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, there's been something that's been bugging me. Like before we start the project.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
So I have this. I had a question, and it's about your religion.
Okay.
Like I mean, your name is Mohammed.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
obviously,
I'm Muslim.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but you know, I heard that you know your prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he married like a 6-year-old. So is that true?
Yeah, so actually that is true.
So how do you feel about that? Isn't that kind of like
So
don't you have some sort of like moral
you know, in
incongruence?
today's modern society, it's kind of looked down upon. You know, people call others pedophiles for doing that kind of thing. But if you look at it historically speaking, it's been happening for millennia. You know, just from a societal point of view, the females would tend to be much younger than the males.
Okay.
And this kind of phenomenon where you know, this action is looked down upon. Just started not too long ago, a few decades ago. And the reason for that, there are many reasons. Some psychological, some physiological, and
But bro, a 6-year-old?
yeah. So,
A 6-year-old, man. You have any siblings?
Yeah. So I do have siblings.
You have any sisters?
I have a sister. Yeah.
Older, younger?
A little younger.
How old is she?
She's 18.
18. So if she was 6 and someone came like, yo, I want to marry her, would you
So
be cool with that?
It's different nowadays. It's very different. When people.
So it's not allowed in your religion anymore.
So what's allowed in our religion is for marriage to happen at the age of puberty, for a marriage to be consummated at the age of
But
puberty.
isn't 6 like before? Like who goes through puberty at 6? 6?
Yeah, so that's kind of when.
Like, is there research to back that up? I mean, we're going to be
there is
neuroscientists coming up
research
soon,
to back
right?
it up, actually, yeah. So
6?
yeah,
Puberty
when,
at 6.
When looking at regions of the desert in Arabia,
Okay.
research has showed that females specifically tend to reach the age of puberty at an earlier age.
So it's just based on puberty.
It is, yes.
So it has nothing to do with just that she was 6. So what was the woman that became, or the girl that became his wife, she had already gone through puberty at 6?
So she had not. The marriage itself was not consummated until she was 9 years old.
So you
Does that
can
make
marry at 6 and then consummate at 9.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you're totally cool with that.
Well, yes. Yeah,
So if your sister
I'm okay
someone
with
came to propose to her at 6, I mean, what do you even know it? Have you seen 6-year-olds?
Again,
My
it's
sister's 6
different
and
nowadays,
she's still like,
nowadays,
she's watching like Dora the Explorer or whatever it is. I don't know, but I mean,
nowadays,
6-year-olds.
You got 6-year-olds watching TV, playing with toys.
Yeah, so I'm just.
The last thing on their mind is marriage, but back then when life expectancy is not as much as it is today, when marriage was just beyond.
So are you saying
a relationship?
So are you saying it's not allowed anymore?
I'm not saying it's not allowed anymore, but
So it is allowed.
It's very circumstantial. You have to look at the big picture in society.
So today, if like someone went to your mosque, and and went to the imam and said, I want to marry this 6-year-old, based on Islam, could he be like, no, Islamically I can't marry you, or just because I don't,
So, where are we talking about? Are we talking about here in America? Are we talking about
Anywhere, man.
overseas? Okay, well.
I mean, you could, whatever. I mean,
well,
Pakistan,
so obviously
sure.
here in the States, that's
Sure,
not
okay, forget the
considered
States.
legal,
Let's say
you know?
somewhere else.
Okay.
We'll go somewhere else. Wherever you want to go, man.
All right.
Anywhere on this planet.
So technically, it would be a legal marriage.
Illegal or
How-
illegal?
Legal.
Legal. Okay.
Yeah. From what I know.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
So,
However,
so let me,
not-
again, coming back to it. Just the whole moral aspect of it, man. Like, if that was your sister, would you be cool with it?
What would be the basis of your morality?
Well, I mean, whatever the basis, you say it's God, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, besides that, would you be okay with your sister getting married at 6? Because you're saying it's coming from God.
Again, it's very circumstantial. Nowadays, I would not be cool with it, just
Okay.
because, 6-year-olds nowadays, they don't have to worry about marriage,
Okay.
We're not in a state in our society where girls have to get married at the age of 6. Does that make sense?
Okay, but then doesn't that kind of go against like the aspect of like, isn't God like all-knowing? And so it's
He
okay
is,
then,
yeah.
it's not okay now. I mean, it was moral then, it's immoral now. It just kind of seems, I mean, from a God that you're getting morality from, like he's changing his mind or something. No? All right, good. Have a seat, inshallah. Okay, by the way, you know what I forgot? All right. One thing wait, hold up. Muhammad, hold on. So I forgot that I bought some gifts as well, okay? So, and I forgot Sister Hani. So I have some Dawah material. Can I just toss it? Can someone catch it? Good catch. All right. Go ahead and take, I don't know. There you go. All right. Jazakallah khair. All right, you can have this one. I need to be a bit conservative with those. I don't have a lot. Okay. So from the sisters. Again, this is an exercise. There's a point I'm making with this. It's not just for fun, okay? Although, inshallah, it's no problem having fun. Okay, sisters. Who's next? Okay. Get the mic, inshallah. Okay, assalamu alaikum. I don't think it's on. I can't hear it.
No, it's not.
Try it again.
It's working? Hello?
Okay, you might need to speak a little louder.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, sister, what's your name?
It's Daraksha here. Daraksha.
Darisha.
Yeah.
Okay, Sister Darisha. What do you do? Stay-at-home mom? Are you?
Nah, I'm a housewife and I'm a medical graduate and preparing for my MD exam. So.
You're a manager at a bank? Is that what you said?
Medical graduate.
Medical graduate. Wow, totally off there.
So
Okay.
I just want to thank my husband because he pushed me to come here and attend whole seminar.
So your husband made you come here?
No, he doesn't come by himself, but he pushed me to.
I don't know if you want to be
come
making dawah. There should not be
Yeah,
opening
no.
there. Like my husband made me come here. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
But he's not that much instructor, so he just pushed me to come here and attend all the things because maybe he's asking me that later on in your life you will be needing all these things.
Okay,
to
so
convey
let's take that, and let's say you're now a full-fledged medical, let's say you're a doctor, I guess. Is that what you're going for?
No, I'm preparing for the MD exam. I'm doing with the STEPS exam, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say you're a medical professional of some sort. You work in a hospital.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
I just, before we start the course, I just want to share one thing, like you did with the hijab and all the stuff you did before the exercise.
So you're trying to answer the first question?
Yeah, I just
No,
wanna
no,
share
we're
my
not doing that. That's
experience.
cheating.
I want to share my experience.
Okay, we'll do that at the end, inshallah.
Okay.
There's a process. I'm not trying to be
Okay.
rude,
Okay.
but it's just we have to
Okay.
get through a lot, so inshallah,
okay.
we'll save that to the end, inshallah. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that you have now full-blown started your medical career.
Yeah.
You're working in a hospital.
Okay.
Okay? You're in the break room.
Uh-huh.
All right? And I walk in and I'll be, someone give me a name. Chad. You know, why is it? No, it's really interesting. Every time I do this class, some dude says Chad. Why? It's just weird. Like, why? What is up with the name Chad? I'm telling you, I've done this like all over the place, all over the country, and it's so strange. I always get a guy that says Chad. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, Chad, Anyway, okay, so I'm going to be Chad.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say we're in the break room. You come in, do you drink coffee?
No.
No?
like
Chai?
tea.
Drink chai?
Yeah, chai.
Okay, chai, however you want to pronounce it. Okay, so you're making your chai that your husband dutifully prepared for you, right? With the masala and everything. It's good. Anyway, So you're there at work, and I come in, and so how do you like to be addressed? Like, should I call you
DK, yeah. Because,
DK?
Yeah, my
Okay.
name is
Hey,
very
DK, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. How are
You're
you
good?
doing?
I'm good.
How's
Listen, I had a question I wanted to ask you. You know, I know you're Muslim. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I am.
So I wanted to ask you this question. I really didn't know who else to ask because you're like the only
Yeah, it's
Muslim I
okay,
know,
it's okay, you can.
right? And so the thing is, someone told me that like you guys can't eat pork. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
So
it
why
is.
can't you eat pork?
First of all, I just want to mention you that in Islam and whatever our Prophet has asked us to do and do not, we have to follow that blindly. Okay?
Okay, but so there's no reason behind
yeah.
it.
First of all, being a Muslim, it's mandatory for me to follow all the rules and regulations, whatever are given in the Quran and Hadith.
The
Second-
Quran and the what?
Yeah, Hadith, like,
The Hadith?
yeah,
What's that?
Hadith, like.
Like,
the
well, I'm sorry, I don't.
Sayings of the Prophet.
Sayings
Like
of
whatever our
the Prophet?
said, whatever our Prophet, the last Prophet, peace be upon him,
Yeah.
whatever he said to us,
Okay.
whether directly or indirectly, it's mostly narrated by the other people who were sitting in front of him. They just write it down, and they just everything is there in our books. And
So
it
so
has-
basically, you're saying that as long as like God said it, you do it.
it's yeah.
So there's no like thought process.
No.
There's no reason.
There
It's just
it
because
is.
God said it.
There it is. There it
Oh, there is. So that's what I'm asking. Like, so why did God say that?
There it is. But being a Muslim, if I got a command, I don't have to argue. But being a Muslim, since I'm supposed to pass all the knowledge to others, so
Okay.
there should be some reason. Because we are human beings, and human beings not only
Last I
follow
checked, yes.
things blindly, but they also search for reasons.
So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So why
the
is pork
reason is
forbidden?
that
Like,
which
why does God not want you to eat? Like,
all-
have you ever had bacon?
No,
Oh my God, DK, you have not lived your life.
yeah.
You have not had
Yeah,
bacon?
Yeah, no,
Oh.
absolutely.
I love bacon. Anyway, so
what-
my question is, like, I like bacon a lot, and bacon, I mean, wow, right?
Yeah.
Halal turkey bacon sounds like astaghfirullah. Right? Anyways, so I love bacon. So I'm just wondering, like, why would God not want me to eat bacon?
So
Like, why? Like, I don't get it.
The reason which I can tell you is that it's not halal. Halal means
It's not
It's
halal?
not halal. Halal. So
Halal?
halal means that things which you can eat without any restrictions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like halal meat, halal beef, whatever.
It's like kosher.
Like, no, kosher is somewhat different. I don't know
Oh, kosher-
much
okay,
details
sorry.
about
Okay.
the kosher. I
Right,
can't tell
right.
you because I have no knowledge about that.
Okay.
But I just have the knowledge about halal, so I can tell you about that.
Okay. So why is it not? Why did God not want you to eat
Yeah.
bacon? Why does God not want me to eat bacon?
The reason which I know is that the pigs and all these kind of animals, they eat their own waste products.
Okay.
So whatever, as being a human, we know that whatever we eat, whatever go through our mouth, that becomes the part of our body, part of our cells. So if you are eating a waste of your own, so that means every cell in your body has that product. So if it's bad and it's like it's waste product. So
But
your
don't all
babies-
animals have waste products?
No, it's for the pigs especially because.
I mean,
for- for-
cows have. Are you guys allowed to eat cows?
No, they don't eat they eat the grass. They don't eat their waste.
But they
product.
have like stuff in their bowels and stuff.
Yeah, it is true. It
So
is
I don't really
every-
understand
even-
what's the
even
problem.
Humans have some bacteria in their gut, so you can't say that. But for pigs especially, what I know about regarding my knowledge,
Okay.
which I can make you understand,
Uh-huh.
is that they eat their own waste products like poop. So
Right, they
this
poop,
is
yes.
the reason because whatever you eat, that becomes a part of your body. So
Okay.
if you are eating something bad, something waste, then it will be a part of your body. And if you will eat that, that means that you are eating a bad thing. So this
Okay,
is
but
the
but
reason.
that's my. I guess my question is, yeah. Okay, so what's wrong with eating poop?
Sorry?
What's wrong with eating poop?
Like, it's a waste of your body. You can't eat this.
Why? Says who? How do we know that?
Like, you can make sure that whatever you eat, the food you eat,
Yeah, but if I wanted to eat poop, what's wrong with that?
No.
That
You
would
can
be-
think of that, the form of the food you eat and the form which came out. Like being
No, but you're not. So what I'm saying is, why would God not want me to eat that? Like, why can't I? So my question is very simple. You're saying I can't eat bacon because pigs eat their own poop.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So is that going to harm me, like by my health or
Like,
something?
If you can think, since you are from the same profession as I am.
Yeah.
So you can think that whatever is good for our body digests that, absorbs that.
But the research is very sketchy on that. You know that, DK. I mean, out of all the studies, like my granddaddy ate bacon for, he lived to be 110 years
Yeah.
old.
But you know.
So, I mean, bacon's
sometimes,
not- it's not-
Religion restrictions come there, and you have.
So
to
religion
think
isn't about like the rationale. It's just about God
No.
said it, so you do it, and you don't have to think
No.
about it.
But if
Okay,
you.
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah.
All right. Jazakallah khair. That was good. Can I go and toss it? Or all right. Okay. So who's next? I'm going to put you on hold there for a second, buddy. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. This area here was very quiet. So let's see. Let's see. See, I see hands, but I want to get someone out of their shell. Okay, Bismillah. What's your name? Yeah, you. Come on up. Either one. I'm good with either one. So come on up. All right, where's the mic here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So like. All right. Is it on properly? Because it's. All right. You might need to hold it closer to your mouth. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
There we go. MashaAllah. Okay. What's your name?
Hamza.
Hamza. All right, Hamza. What do you do?
I'm a high school junior year.
High school junior year.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's see. High school junior year. I wish I was still in high school. Anyways. So I'll be. Someone give me another name. Not Chad. Hey. Something simple that I can actually pronounce and remember. Dave, sisters, any recommendations? Rob? Bob. Okay, I'm going to go with Bob. Okay? So I'm going to be Bob, and let's say we go to school together. All right? So, I guess, man, I don't even know anything much about high school, man. I'm that old. So, I guess we're talking in class. Is that allowed or no?
Depends if you're working.
So, cafeteria. There we go. Okay, so we're chilling in the cafeteria. All right, and I'm like, "Hey, Hamza, man, what's going on?"
How's it going?
I'm doing well. Listen, yeah, I gotta ask you something,
Sure, go ahead.
but I don't know if I should,
No,
because it's
okay,
about your
man.
like religion and stuff. So I don't want to.
That's fine, man. I'll try my best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing is, like, I have my sister, my mom's sister. She recently became Muslim.
Really?
Yeah, but you know what's crazy is that she got married to a guy who already has a wife.
Oh.
So I'm just kind of wondering, is that allowed in your religion?
Well,
And
is
isn't that
is the
kind of
husband
messed
a Muslim
up?
too?
What's that?
Is the husband a Muslim too?
Yeah, they got married in, I want to say Pakistan?
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, I can pick on Pakistan because I'm originally from there. That's why I'm not picking on other countries. Anyways, okay, go ahead, unpause. All right.
So you're allowed to have, in Islam, you're allowed to have a second wife as long as you can take care of both of them equally. So you split the days and nights. You spend with
Days
them.
and nights.
Days and nights, yes.
Oh, so you have to have different like rooms?
No, as long as you.
I mean, it sounds really cool. I got to be honest with you. It's just like, wow. I'm just wondering if like other women would be cool with that, you know?
I mean, as long as you take care of them separately, you have the financial needs. You can take care of them.
So as long as you take care of them.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what does that mean?
So you provide their homes, their food.
Their food. So you got to feed them.
Obviously.
All right,
It's
okay.
just like a regular wife, but a second wife added it's a little more responsibility to it.
All right. So it's like a regular wife, but then a second wife added to it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And that's perfectly. Is that pretty common?
Not really in these days because not many people can a lot of people that do this these days are usually abusive.
Okay.
But there are some people that are there that can actually take care of the second wives.
Okay.
And it's only allowed in Islam if you can take care of them. Otherwise, it's best you don't.
Oh, it's best you don't.
Yes.
All right. Bro, are you going to do it?
But usually in the U.S., it's
Are you going to do it, man? Come on.
Well, if I have the financial needs and it's doable, otherwise I'm gonna do it. Otherwise I'm not.
You're not. Okay. All right. Cool, man. All right. We got to go to class. Thanks.
All right, man.
All right. Good. Grab one, inshallah. All right. Sisters. Where's my timekeeper? I had one recently who's gone. Oh, there he is. He's running back in. Hold on one second. We're not doing questions yet. You want to do a comment? So you got to hang on to it. Like, because the sister wanted a comment, I kind of chopped her down, so I got to chop you down too, man. Sorry. We'll get to the questions in the end. I promise. Or comments. We'll do the comments at the end too. Because I know everyone's itching, right? Because you're like, oh, I know the answer, right? How many people actually felt that? They saw the guy up here like, oh, that's not how you answer that, right? Yeah? Yeah, I know. Trust me. I've done this long enough where I know. Okay. How are we doing on time, Arsalan?
5 more minutes.
Don't worry about the slide. How about the session? 4:35. So we're at 4:15 right now, right? So we have a few minutes. Okay. So I was on the sister side, right? Yeah, we just finished up. All right, sisters, who's next? Okay. Fadl, give her the mic, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. What's your name, sister?
Shamaida.
Shamaila. What do you do, Shamaila?
I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom. Okay, great. Let's see, what else? Where do your kids go to school? Islamic school?
Yeah.
Okay,
One of my
so we
sons
can't-
goes to a regular high school, and 2 of my kids go to Islamic high school.
Oh, so one does go to a regular high
Yeah,
school?
yep.
Do you go to like PTA meetings and stuff?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'll be another parent. How about that?
Sure.
All right. Derek apparently is the new one. Who said that? All right, so I'll be Derek, the football coach. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. So we'll be at a PTA meeting, all right? And I'll come to you and Shamaila, you said his name, right? So I'm like, hey, Shamaila, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So listen, I have some really cool news to tell you. Well, not news. I'm kind of a bit confused about something. The thing is, I've been reading about Islam for some time,
Okay.
and I think I want to become a Muslim.
That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, but I'm kind of worried about something.
What are you worried about?
Well, you know, my first wife, we got divorced, and that's why little Timmy, or not little, I guess he's in high school. So Timmy is here. Timmy. He's here, and that's why he's in high school. We were divorced, and now, like, I want to get married again, and I'm just wondering, does your religion, could I get married? Is that okay?
Of course you can get married. You're saying you're not married right now, you're divorced.
No, but I am totally in love, I gotta tell you.
Okay.
Shamaila, I mean, oh my God, like all my dreams have been fulfilled, and it's just wonderful. So, but I keep thinking if I become a Muslim, then, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna work.
So she's not a Muslim, I'm gathering, right?
They're not Muslim, no.
Okay, but you can still get married. I think the
Okay.
first most important thing is for you to figure out if this is what you want as far as Islam is concerned, and if you're interested in it.
Okay.
And then after that, Islam doesn't prevent you from living your life. And as a Muslim man, you can marry.
So you're saying I can get married?
Yes, of course. You
Ah,
can-
that is such a relief.
You can get married.
That is such a relief. I cannot wait to tell Frank. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Shamaila. Yo, have a great day. All right. Jazakallah khair. All right. Curveball. Boom. A lot of these scenarios are actually coming from real life. So I'm picking on you, but I've been in that situation, right? We had a brother in Atlanta, and we did this program in Atlanta. Actually, it was for Why Islam as well. And he was really just like a go-getter. He's like, man, I make street dawah. I chew people up and spit them out for a living when it comes to dawah. So I had him up, and man, he was just like super excited when I told him, I want to become Muslim. And he was like, yes, let's do it. We'll do it right now. I was like, that's great. And then I laid the whole Frank thing on him. He just froze. He was like, I mean, that was it. Game over. Anyways, Jazakallah khair. That's a tough one. All right. We'll have one more brother, one more sister, and then we'll get into it. Yeah? All right. So one more brother. Hold on a second. I need to pick someone. No, I'm gonna get you later. Inshallah. Brother, what's your name? Yes. What is it? Okay, come on up.
Assalamu alaikum.
What was your name again?
Khalil.
Khalil. Okay, Khalil. What do you do, Khalil?
I work in IT.
You're in IT?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say the company you're working for, I'll be a fellow IT guy. Names? No, let me hear the sisters. Names. Sisters. No. We're going to do the sisters. Kevin? All right, I guess we'll go with Kevin. All right. So I'll be Kevin. Okay? Kevin the Third. Nobody introduces, do people introduce themselves like that? Hello, I am Kevin the Third. Is that? Anyway, okay, I'm just going to go with Kevin. Okay, so let's say we'll do another break room scenario. Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
You take breaks?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We always take breaks.
Hopefully not too much. All right. So we're in the cafeteria, and let's say I just started, right? So I'm the new guy on the job, and I'm like, hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I noticed you got the growth going on, man.
Yeah.
Is that like spiritual or something, or what?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's part of my religious faith. So.
Oh, what religion are you? I hope you don't mind me asking. I'm just trying to make friends, man.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. I'm a Muslim basically. I practice Islamic faith.
Islamic faith.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's really cool. So.
What about you? Do you have any faith?
I'm just thinking about stuff.
Think about stuff.
Come to Islam. Is that what you said?
No, I'm just asking you. You are grown up as a atheist, or do you have any faith at all, or?
No. I'm kind of just exploring stuff.
Exploring.
But speaking about Islam, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
So I was reading somewhere that because I've been reading a lot about different religions and stuff. And one thing that kind of struck me was it looks like your prophet, what's his name?
Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Okay. So I heard that he actually went to a battle and then he had 700 Jews just slaughtered. Is that true? Killed, put to death. Is that true?
I mean, you need to look at the context. You can't just quote.
So what context would it be okay to kill 700 Jews?
Where did you read it?
It was in a book. I don't remember. Is it not true? I mean, maybe I'm just not reading the right sources.
I mean, you need to look at the time at which those things happen. I mean, it was not for just go ahead and kill everybody. So even today, I mean, countries do war, right? One country,
But do you think that's okay to in
no, I mean,
any context?
If you are in a battlefield, what you do? You just go, hey, come on, man, let's make friends. That's what you do.
No, but so you're saying that in battle, it's okay to take 700 people and just behead them?
I mean, if they come you to kill you as a self-defense,
so they came to kill him?
So if you are in a battlefield, what do you expect? They come.
Well, no, battle's different. But I'm saying to take 700 people, Jews or non-Jews, whatever, and just say, all right, behead them. Even after the war, let's say you won the war or whatever. I mean, you think that's all right? What do you think? I mean, how do you square that circle with your faith? There's things like this that I'm always struggling with, even with Christianity
stuff.
So
you mean to ask the stereotype people are making Muslim being terrorists? That's where you're coming, or?
No, I'm not even talking about. I mean, I get all that terrorist stuff. That's stupid. I don't buy that. That's just all media. I don't care about that. I didn't really understand because I'm trying to read about Islam, and I came across this, and not sure what to do with that.
You are just picking one part of the story.
So there's other stories? Other people were killed?
You didn't read anything else about Prophet Muhammad, what he did with...
Yeah, I mean, he was a nice guy and all this. That's okay, I get that. But still, I mean, killing 700 people just like that, I mean, how do I process that? I don't get it. Like, or maybe it's not true. I don't know. Like, what do you? I mean, I don't know. So if you were actually in the break room right now, Khalil, what would you do? She's like, I gotta go, man. Bye.
No,
what are you gonna do?
No, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, I'll go back.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll go back and get some information, and we'll have some more session. And
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So you want to read up on it? Okay, all right. That's cool. Thanks, Khalil. Excellent. MashaAllah. So, can I give you this one? By the way, you'll be able to order these online soon. So, inshallah, they're just our Dawa material. Okay, we'll have one more sister, and then we're gonna reconvene and see what's going on here. So, yes, sister, I'll go ahead and. I think it's already on. Okay, but you have to hold it a bit close so that we can hear you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So, what's your name, sister?
Rida.
A little out. Rida. Okay. So, Rida, what do you do?
I'm a college student.
You're a what?
College student.
A college
Student.
student. Okay. What are you studying?
Biology.
Biology. All right. This should be good. All right. So, how far along are you? Are you a sophomore, junior?
I'm a junior.
A junior. All right. So you've taken, I'm assuming, various classes in biology, botany, evolutionary biology, etc. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be Susan.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Okay.
All right. And let's say I'll be in your evolutionary biology class. She already knows where this is going. She's like, oh my God. All right. Okay. So let's say we're meeting for a project in the library. All right. And I'm like, hey, Rida, how's this going?
Going well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So we got this this project for this class. You know, I'm just wondering, like, do you guys, like, you're Muslim, obviously. Do you guys believe in evolution?
So as far as I know, what we believe is that God created human beings. When it comes to evolution, like what is explicitly stated in the Quran is that human beings were created by God. As for other creatures, then there is a possibility of them arising through evolution. But we also have to remember that we can't believe things happen randomly because we believe that God is in charge, and whatever happens in the universe happens through His knowledge and His will.
Okay, so you kind of believe in evolution. Is that right?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So you kind of believe in evolution, like parts of it, yes, parts of it, no. Is that?
Yeah, basically whatever's like compatible with our beliefs.
Okay, so, but then, so do your beliefs state like that there was like a first man and a first woman or something?
Yes.
Okay, and then they just kind of appeared, like poof?
Well, yeah, they were created by God, so that's how they came about being.
Okay, so there was no process by that?
No.
There's no process?
No.
Okay, and it just happened?
Yes.
I see, okay. And so how does that, I guess, fit with, you know, like science? I mean, scientifically, is there any sort of proof for that? Because, I mean, obviously, evolution, we know, like, we have a proof, we have a kind of a, you know, we can see things very clearly. But, I mean, you're just kind of saying, like, hey, there was a first man, first woman, poof, they just appeared out of nowhere, and that's that. But, I mean, you're studying biology, you're studying evolutionary biology, you know, we've got to think about these things, you know, we can't just, so how do we scientifically square that? What do you think?
What exactly is your question?
So how do we scientifically prove that there was a first man and a first woman? Or is there proof scientifically?
So for me personally, I don't know if there's a scientific proof. I don't know if we can prove that scientifically, but at the same time, we have to remember that science has its limitations. And personally for me, like the Quran comes above that. And so because the Quran says there was a first man and first woman, I believe
So wait, so you don't believe in science?
I do, but I think science is just a way of explaining like natural processes that were created by God.
So aren't human beings natural?
Yes.
So if science can explain natural processes, then shouldn't science be able to explain the human being?
So the way that science does the way science explains the creation of human beings, or the way human beings came about, there's like flaws to that theory as well.
Flaws?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, and these flaws have been proven?
Yeah, Darwin himself mentioned things about the missing link.
Well, I mean, Darwinian evolution, come on, we've been studying long enough, we know that we've gone quite a long way from Darwinian evolution. So the theory has gone through many changes, so come on. We're not going to go down that route. But I mean, scientifically, so I guess it goes back to like first man, first woman. How do we even look at that scientifically? So, I don't know. Anyways, let's get back to our project. All right. Jazakallah khair. All right. All right. Okay. So what do you guys think? That was awkward? Who said awkward? You said awkward? All right. How many people think that, and not to pick on the people that came up, because may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them. They got picked on, they tried their best, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them. Qulu ameen. Okay. But the thing is, there's a couple of questions we want to ask. Okay? Do you think the conversation was effective? So in some cases, yes, some cases, no. Okay, how many people say it was an effective conversation? Most of them. Or some of them. Effective. It was an effective conversation. Okay? All right. So were the objective of Dawah met in the conversation? What do you think? By the way, what is the objective of Dawah? To invite someone to the deen of Islam. Well, what does that mean? Show them the truth. Okay. That's very, very broad. To make them Muslim. I thought we already went over that slide. Allah guides and all that stuff. Anyway. Was the objective? So the objective is what? Okay. So she said it's a very simple message. Believe in one God. Okay, so here's the thing, that Allah exists, He's the only one worthy of worship, and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the last and final messenger, etc. That's where you're trying to take them. Did any of these conversations get there? Any of them? No. Okay. I'm not saying what you could. I'm saying the conversation we had today, now, did any of them get to the objective? Okay, is that a problem? Yes. Because the thing is, and this is kind of the weakness in our method. Well, let me just kind of point out one thing. The thing is, you have to remember, your objective is to call them to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And the messengership of the Prophet ﷺ. Very simple, right? Now the thing is, if you leave a conversation and you haven't given them that, what is the value of that conversation? Like realistic, in terms of like a kind of a broad perspective, including al-akhirah, right? The afterlife. What have you given them? Like for instance, let's talk about hijab, right? So, the idea of like hijab, modesty. I asked my wife. I said, so why do you wear hijab, right? No, I didn't say why you wear. I said, if Allah had not instituted hijab, would you wear hijab? You know what she said? No way. Right? You wouldn't get up now and be like, oh, this is the appropriate level of modesty. I have no guidance from Allah, so this is the appropriate level. No. Am I right, sisters? Right? And it's not blasphemous. I'm just saying the primary reason you wear hijab is why? Because Allah ordered it. Because you believe in Allah. You believe He should be worshipped. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ is the messenger who came to teach you how to worship Allah. And that guidance tells you that Allah wants you to cover like this. It has nothing to do with modesty. Correct or no? Right? You don't wake up one morning and say, this is the appropriate level of modesty, and walk out the door. Right? So the person, if you're trying to tell them, like, okay, this is the appropriate level of modesty, and that's your conversation, and they die, let's say they agree with you. Yes, this is the way a person should be modest. On the day of judgment, they say, oh Allah, I know the appropriate level of modesty. Will that save them from the hellfire? No. Right? No, it won't. Right? So inshallah, but it won't. Okay. So the point is being very clear on where you're trying to get this person. Because that's what dawah is. And then controlling the conversation. Who do you think had control of the conversation, by and large? Me, right? Whether I was Fred or Chad or whatever, right? I had control, right? And what was the general objective? To do what? To answer the person's question. Yeah? Okay. Let me tell you, and this is from experience, and maybe you've experienced this, you will never give a person enough answers for them to be convinced. And you want to know why? Because they do not have the lenses of Islam, your worldview, to understand why you do what you do. Okay? Like we talked about hijab, the reason the sisters wear hijab is because Allah ordered it, right? All the other stuff, right? Like with the pork, for instance, right? You get that all the time. Well, scientifically it's like this, and they eat their own feces, and okay, that's great. They eat their own feces. So what? Like if I want to eat feces, what's wrong with that, right? So, I mean, who cares? But the primary reason we don't eat pork is why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us. Now, is that irrational? It's not about to them. Is it irrational, just as a concept? You have a being that created everything. Its knowledge is encompassing. Your knowledge is nothing. Like if you go to the doctor and he says you need to, or she says you need to take this medicine, you're not going to be like, well, first I have to go to medical school, understand the prescription, understand exactly why you're giving it to me, understand and then once I finish all that, then I will take the prescription and then I will go and get the medicine. Who does that? Nobody. Right? Why? Because you understand in the field of medicine, this person has more knowledge than you. So if that makes sense, what about the one who created all of this? The one who knows and your knowledge is limited. So is it really irrational that the being that knows everything and you know very little, that it tells you do this and you should not listen to it? Not listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's not an irrational concept. So the first thing is, our objective when it comes to these conversations should not be to answer the question. Your job is not to answer every single question. And you guys have to be crystal clear about this. If you leave here today and you're still trying to answer people's questions, I've totally failed. Your job is not to answer every single question that comes your way. All right? So what are you not going to do? Answer every single question. That's not your job. Allah's not going to ask you about why didn't you answer that question? The guy called you a terrorist. Why didn't you clarify for them terrorism, blah, 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 blah. You know what Allah's going to ask you about? This person that came to you, did you tell them about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah? Yes or no? Okay? So when a question comes, you're like, wait a minute, okay, that's easy to say, but what do I do with it when a question comes? Someone says, like, why are y'all killing the people? Right? We're in Texas, they do that all the time, right? So what do I do with that? Okay, we'll get to that in a second. All right. Do we want to take a quick break before I tell you kind of the keys? All right, so let's do this. Let's take a quick, can we say 2-minute break? If you want to stand up, just walk around, come back. Because I know a lot of people, I see kind of tiredness on their face. We'll come back and we'll look at the keys about how exactly to do this process. All right? So let's take a 2-minute break. So walk around, don't make it too long, and we'll come back, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Assalamu alaikum. I don't know. Assalamu alaikum, Hamza. How are you? Okay, go ahead. Inshallah.
Do you have fun doing all this?
Sometimes.
So are you having fun this time?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know, right?
Of course. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I had a question for you. Do you recommend any English version of the Quran? I've been giving people the Oxford version of the Quran because I thought would be.
So I recommend the clear Quran.
The Quran?
Ooh, that's not good. The clear Quran. I'll mention it. How about that? So just make sure you ask at the end when we have Q&A. Just be like, is there a version that you recommend?
The list of courses, are these in any of these materials?
No, I'll have to email them to you, inshallah. Go ahead, take it. Don't tell anyone. All right, let's give it another minute, and then we're going to start. So I just said stretch your legs, not like go off and grab chai. The preachy thing? Wait, what?
You know, you two like
interaction.
Yeah. My friend just kind of want to do it, so if you could like arrange something.
Maybe afterwards. How about that? We're gonna you'll be able to order them. Inshallah. Okay, let's go ahead and take our seats and get started. Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulil Kareem amma ba'd. All right, so what is the objective of Dawah? To call to what? Exactly. Who did this? Who said that? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. All right? Crystal clear hopefully by now. If you have not given the person that, have you accomplished anything? No, you have not. Okay, easy to say. Let's take a step back now. Remember earlier on we were talking about that the truth is actually within each human being anyway. It's part of the fitrah. Okay? So we want to explore that because sometimes we think that our dawah, we need to give them a rational argument. And that's what we have to do. But the reality is, our objective is not to rationally show that Islam is true. Not only to rationally show that Islam is true. But it's to what? It's to get the person to reality, to realize their own humanity, their own connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's directly linked with the fitrah. Okay? Don't worry about the slides, guys. All right. Now, when I say that, because what's going to happen is, at the very beginning, you may meet someone that says, I don't believe in God. All right? So if that's the case, and that's your next session, inshallah, I think, who's coming? Yeah, Mufti Wasim will be covering that, right? So I don't want to get into too many details. But there is something very important that we need to understand related to the fitrah itself, okay? We talked about rationality, and I'm going to start using the board a little bit. So we talked about rationality. Okay, a lot of people are here. Okay, what they call the aql. All right. Is rationality or logical arguments your only dawah tool? No. What are some of your other tools? What? The masjid? Who said that? Emotion. Okay. What else? Quran. Excellent. What else? The fitrah is not a tool. It's something that's going to receive what you're doing, right? But in a way, yeah, you can say, okay, hadith maybe, okay. So here's the thing. There are some people that say, and this is where it's going to get a bit technical, but I want you to stay with me, that I'm not going to believe unless you can rationally prove to me that X, Y, and Z is true. Has anyone ever heard this? Yeah? Okay. So what they're effectively saying is that their tool to understanding the truth is only rationality. Is only the rationale. That's all they can use. Okay? So here's a problem with this. If they say that the only tool I can use is rationality, well, there's a number of problems, okay? If this is the only tool they can use, how do they know that that's the tool they can use? You have to get something outside of this tool to show that this is the tool. Is everyone with me? It's a bit, yeah? Okay, so let's look at this in a different way. Let's assume that I told you that I'm a married bachelor. Fair enough? Does that make sense to everyone? No? Doesn't make sense? I'm a married bachelor. You guys you're okay with that? And before the brothers, I always get the whole thing like, yes, of course, you can have 4 wives in Islam. That's okay, but it still doesn't work, okay? Why can't you be a married bachelor? Why can I not be a married bachelor? Sisters, why can't I be a married bachelor? One contradicts the other. They're mutually exclusive. Okay. So it's based on the logical principle of mutual exclusivity. I cannot be married and a bachelor at the same time. I cannot be Fahad and not Fahad at the same time. I cannot have a square that's a circle at the same time. Yeah? Okay, so that's a principle. That's a logical principle. It's called mutual exclusivity. What if I say I don't believe the principle? Prove the principle. Now what? Can you go anywhere with that? You can't go anywhere with that because that's your starting point. I want you to just take a few minutes and understand this. There are things that you need in order for rationality to work. And those things are outside of rationality that you cannot prove, but you must have. In philosophical terms, they call those things either basic beliefs, axioms, or axiomatic truths. And they're outside of, they're not irrational, they're outside of rationality. Okay? So we'll call those things supra-rational. Just for... Okay. Now, in Islamic terms, we would say that this is the aql, and this is what is the fitrah. What else is part of the fitrah? Let's give some examples, right? Or what's part of super-rational? What is that is outside of rationality? So for instance, you have aesthetic tastes. My wife and I, we go to see a beautiful sunset, and she's like, wow, that is beautiful. And I'm like, you know what, dear? That's the ugliest thing I ever saw. Prove to me rationally that that's beautiful. Will she be able to do it? No. Like, how are you going to prove that, right? So aesthetic taste are not a rational concept. They're a super-rational concept. Everyone with me so far? Okay, smells. You walk into a certain room, and you smell something like, wow, that smells really good. And someone comes in and says, that's nasty. Prove to me rationally that that smells good. Where are you going to go with that? Can you go anywhere with that? You can't, right? Okay? So you have things that are in the fitrah or that are in the super-rational, that's outside of rationality, things like aesthetic tastes, things like smells, logical principles are here. Okay? So far so good? Haven't lost anyone too bad yet, right? Something that's outside, the things that you're not going to rationalize, but you don't need to rationalize. Does that make sense? Because the issue is, a lot of times we're presented with something and we say we have to give the reason for it. That's why a lot of the questions that came up, you said, I have to give them a reason for it because you were here. We have to know why hijab, why God would want hijab. We have to know why God would, based on what? Based on because this is your only tool? But even this tool, without this, it's nothing. Everyone with me? So far, so good? I get really worried around this point because I'm like, whoa, I'm losing people, okay? So, we said that logical principles are part of the fitrah. We said that aesthetic tastes, right? Like, I'll give you an example. How many people have been in Hajj or Umrah? Raise your hands. Okay, a lot of people, mashallah. Sisters? Okay. Sister, when you saw the Kaaba for the first time, how did you feel? You felt what? You felt elated, you felt good, right? Okay. What if someone said, well, that's illogical? I mean, what are you looking at? A cube. So you saw this cube and you're like, wow, totally illogical. But you felt it, right? Okay. Where does that come from? You think that's a rational process? That's a fitri process. You're looking at literally, okay, let's think about this for a second. What are you looking at when you get there? You're literally looking at a cube. Yes or no? Like if that cube was somewhere else in some other context, you wouldn't walk in and be just like, whoa. Would you? Okay. Is that an irrational experience? No. And especially if you have felt it yourself, right? Okay. So awe is a fitri concept as well. When I mean by awe, I mean like, okay, so you saw the Kaaba, you were in a state of awe, okay? When you see like the Grand Canyon or something, just like, you know, the Niagara Falls, you're just like, wow, subhanallah. You're in a state of awe. This is not a rational concept. This is something that's going straight to your fitrah. Everyone with me so far? Okay? So now, when you look in the Quran, Do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focuses in this area or this area? If you were to just say, no, focuses. I'm saying which is the one where it's like there's more emphasis on this over this? Yes, of course. Like the term ayah, right? What is an ayah? Can I write the Arabic and won't like scare off too many people? Right? What is the term ayah? What does it mean? Sign. Everyone says sign. Okay? Now, for those of you who are studying Arabic, this is like a trilateral root. Alif, ya, ya. Okay? Just for those of you who are studying Arabic. Okay? And this trilateral root, if when you start using it in different contexts, you see that it's not only ayah, but you could use it in different contexts too. So for instance, ayyu amal afdal. Which of these actions is the best? Right? So therefore, you have all of these actions, and one of them or a few of them are going to be distinguished from all the others. Okay? What an ayah does is it takes all of this information and there's something that's distinguished, and you recognize it. So the ayat have two qualities. One of those qualities with an ayah is that there's no information transfer. And the second is that it happens immediately. So I'll give you an example. Let's say, I graduated from Michigan State, like in the Stone Age, and they have those rings that they sell you. For those of you who've been to college here, you get those rings. I mean, most people don't buy them because they're too expensive. But let's say I was really stupid at the time and I bought the ring, okay? So now, I moved to Houston, and this was like eons ago, and I'm unpacking my stuff. And all of a sudden, I see the box that has the ring, the cap, the gown, and immediately I go back to the time when I'm walking up I remember things that are just like immediately. I remember the look on my parents' face. They were very proud. I remember the fact that my last name starts with a T, and I had to wait 250 people before they called my name, and it was very annoying. I remember all these things, and it happens instantaneously. Did I learn something new? I have new information transfer and all this like new like logical blah, 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 blah? No. And did it happen immediately? It did. So when we say sign, sign is correct, but what exactly does a sign do? Right? No information transfer, and it happens immediately. And when you think about ayat, that's where they go to. So ayat actually target the fitrah. I'm not saying that there's no like rationality in the Quran, but I'm saying the initial target is the fitrah. That's why when you see the Quran, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. What is that? Right? In the alteration of the night and the day, where's the rational argument? Where's the deductive A, B, therefore C? It's not. You want to know why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows you better than you know yourself. He knows that you were created upon the fitrah. فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. Right? It is the fitrah that He created you upon. And when you start getting lost in the contemporary or the modern world which says everything has to be proven rationally, you forget who you are. Like, there's an ayah in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not be like those who forgot Allah, right? And so Allah caused them to forget themselves. So, you can okay. Shouldn't read these things out loud. Anyway, so, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُم. Right? Do not be like those who forgot Allah, so Allah caused them to forget themselves. If you took that to an atheist, have they forgotten themselves? Like, do they forget to like brush their teeth, go to work, get a job, go to college? Have they forgotten themselves? But then what is your true self? Like, who are you at your core? Like, if I asked you, like, what's your name again? Osama. All right, so say tomorrow, our president says, no more Muslim-sounding names. You're not Osama anymore, you're Frank. Does that change who you are? Your essence, your core? It doesn't, right? Or let's say, God forbid, you get into a car accident and you lose an arm. Are you still you? Let's say you lose your second arm. Are you still you? Let's say you lose your legs. Are you still you? Okay, so this physical body, what makes you you if it's not this physical body? Well, what makes you you is your ruh, your fitrah. That's your essence, which is not a tangible material item. Is everyone with me so far? So your essence, when Allah says, do not be like those who forgot Allah, so He caused them to forget themselves, they forgot, because they forgot Allah, the one that created them out of nothing, they forgot themselves, like who they actually are. You're not just material body. You're not an evolutionary, miracle. You have a soul and you have a ruh and you have a fitrah. And when you're making dawah, your objective is to awaken that fitrah. And that is the thing that recognizes Allah. It's not just about a rational argument. It's about uncovering this fitrah. Because what happens is this fitrah gets covered by a whole bunch of different things, right? Even for Muslims. You know, like when you sin, like the Prophet ﷺ said, when a person sins, a black dot is placed on their heart, right? You get too many black dots, you're blocked from the truth. Those like rational concepts necessarily? No. So when it comes to this idea, understand your objective in dawah is not to win the rational argument always. It is to uncover the fitrah and have the people be who they're supposed to be. To bring people back to the worship of Allah, because that's why they were created and that's how Allah created them in the first place. That's why they will recognize your dawah even to your surprise. And believe me, I've had experiences where you're making dawah to someone and you're just shocked. Like I remember many years ago, I used to work in Baltimore, and they used to have a Jummah khutbah in at the hospital there. And there's a lot of mainly just students. So it's Johns Hopkins University. So they would have the MSA there. They'd come. They would arrange the Jummah khutbahs. And the Jummah khutbahs were always by students. So now, you would have sometimes, because they're young people, some amazing khutbahs. Like just rocking khutbahs. You come out of there, you're like on cloud 9. Wow, subhanAllah, that was amazing. I want to take over the world and make everyone Muslim. Whatever, right? But sometimes, you would have these khutbahs where you'd want to stick your head in the ground. I mean, you're just talking about khutbahs, you're just like, oh, what was going on there? So the MSA at the time, they had a dawah table. And so one guy shows up, he says, I want to check out your Jummah khutbah, non-Muslim. So my friend's like, okay, he brings him up, and we're setting up for Salatul Jummah and whatever, and the guy sits in the back. I kid you not, this was the worst khutbah I've ever heard in my life. Okay? He was talking about etiquettes of the bathroom. Yani left hand, this, that, and when the feces, and make sure the smell. I'm just like, what? Can you imagine? This was the khutbah. And the whole time I look over at my friend, and he's got his head down like this, like, oh my, what is this guy gonna think, right? The non-Muslim came in here. Like, can you imagine? So we get up at the end, we go to him, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy, and he's gonna be like, what is this? They're talking about like, this, and right hand, left hand, smell, color, taste, whatever, right? Whatever it might be. And so I go to him, and I'm like, you're interested in Islam? He's like, yeah, I think I want to be Muslim. And I was shocked, because I'm like, what, really? After that? Right? He's like, yeah, I want to become Muslim. He became Muslim. Can you imagine? And obviously the point is, it wasn't because of the khutbah he became Muslim. Someone was talking to him ahead of time. But my point is that I was shocked because how is it that this person has this information, which from a rational perspective would push anyone away? Muslims over there would be like, you know what? I got to rethink this, right? And yet this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him, not based on a purely rational argument. So I guess my point in mentioning that is that there are other tools besides rationality. Now that doesn't mean you can't use rationality, but you must understand that that's not the only tool in your toolbox. Okay? I'll give you one more example before we open it up for the next section. So I was in Oklahoma, and the imam of the masjid, like I'd finished the Jummah khutbah, the imam of the masjid comes to me. He says, look man, you're involved in this Dawah Shawa stuff, so can you please talk to this lady? She's in my office, and she has questions about Islam. So I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. So I walk in, the first thing she says to me, I kid you not, the first thing she says to me, I heard your prophet slaughtered 700 Jews. The same question I presented. First thing she says, not hi, hello, how are you, nothing. Okay, let's pause here for a second. How would you react to that? How do you think most people react to that? You'd be like, what? Like, what do you think? What would you do? What would you do? So you said it's not true. Okay, that's one option, to say it's not true. Anybody else? All right, yes, it's true. What's the context? Okay, that's option 2. Anybody else? What else do you know about this prophet? Okay, yes, what else? Sister, right there, get your hand up. Oof, the United States dropped a nuclear bomb on Hiroshima. So what's your problem, right? We killed 700 Jews, you guys killed millions. So there, right? Okay. All right. So I didn't do any of that. You guys want to know what I did? Anyone curious? Okay. So I said, it's I cannot, that's an interesting question. But if you have a few minutes, we need to understand some of the basics of Islam before we can understand the question. Okay, what did I just do there? Okay, why? Because I'm trying to take them to Tawheed. I'm trying to take them to the core of my message. So it's not that I'm trying to trick them, like, I'm not going to answer your question. But you see, I said, hold on to that question. You can hang it in abeyance, but let's go to where I want to go. And that's Tawheed. Did everyone get that? So remember I was saying that I'm going to give you the way to answer any single question? That's your technique. Someone asks you a question, you don't just jump into like defensive mode and start answering everything. Okay? And by the way, when I asked this question, like I did this in other sessions, so one brother just shocked me with this. He didn't shock me, but he's like, no, it wasn't 700, it was 900. I was like, so you'd correct her. I mean, right? Anyway, so she said, yeah, let's, I was like, okay, so let's have a seat, let's sit down. Okay, the story doesn't end there. So I asked her, I said, so what's your background? All right, so point number 2, like get some background information. You don't start out just straight Dawa, let me tell you why Islam is true. So she said, I was like, what's your religious background? Like, where are you from, this and that. So she told me, and she said, I'm Christian. So now, okay, so she stopped. She said, I'm Christian. Right, where should I go now? Help me out here. What do I do now? Sisters, what do I do now? She says, I'm Christian. What should I talk about now? Okay, God, that's true, but what about, like, where are we going with this? Hold on. Prophet Isa alayhi salam. Okay, that's one option. Brothers, any other options? If she says, I'm a Christian, what's the next option? Yeah. Similarities. Okay, similarities between Islam and Christianity. Anybody else? Yes? Sanctity of life. Okay, all right, fair enough. One more from the brother side. Quran? How would I? Oh, you're Christian. A'udhu billahi. I mean, so how does that? Okay, so basically you're trying to say like, negate the Bible and come to the Quran. But that's what you mean, right? Like the Quran is absolutely true. Okay, fair enough. Okay, all right. Okay, good. Okay, so here's the thing. Most people would go to Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, or the Trinity, or something like the Bible versus the Quran, or whatever it might be. Okay? I did none of that. So, I asked her, I said, do you give charity at your church? You're like, where is he going with this, right? I said, do you give charity at your church? She said, yeah, I do. I was like, how do you feel when you give charity? It's like, I feel good. I'm like, yeah, but you feel good, but you just gave someone money for nothing. You didn't get anything in return, right? She's like, no, of course not. I was like, so you felt good? She said, yes. I'm like, okay. You see, in the Islamic framework, we have something called the fitrah. And when it comes back, we share the story of Adam and Eve and that they ate from the tree. However, the difference is that when they made that mistake, Allah forgave them. God forgave them because He's the most merciful. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in your faith, you believe in the original sin, that they were sinful and that sin is part of the human being. She said, yes. And I was like, that's why Jesus had to come and die for humanity, right? She said, yes. I'm like, okay. So if that's the case, if the base state of the human being is sin and evil, right? When you give charity, you should feel rotten. I was like, but you feel good. So I said, based on the Islamic framework, the reason you feel good is because you are good. Allah created you as good. Because the fitrah, we say its base nature is good, is goodness, because it comes directly from God. However, if we said the original sin, you should feel really bad when you actually give charity. So she was like, oh, I see. Anyhow, so by the time we were done, she was in tears. and she took her shahada. Okay. Did I get into Isa alayhi salam, Trinity, Bible inconsistencies, did I get into any of what you would typically call rational arguments? What's that? Okay, so I'm getting to that. So here it is. You ready? The original question? I'm on the plane going home. I'm like, subhanAllah, I forgot to answer a question. But here's the thing. Now that she's Muslim, when she reads the seerah and she reads the context, she has the lenses to understand it. When she reads about what the battle that went before it, the fact that they betrayed, they betrayed the Muslims and betrayed the Prophet ﷺ, the fact that it wasn't the Prophet ﷺ's direct decision, but he had, all those factors come into play, and now, because she has the appropriate lenses of Islam, she can understand it. Do you get what I'm saying? Point being is when someone presents you a question, you are not responsible for answering every single question. You have to be able to take them back to Tawheed, who they are, their humanity, their fitrah, etc. Okay? So number one, how are you going to do that? Someone asks you a question, thank you very much, I appreciate your question, but in order to answer that question, we may need to go over some of the fundamentals of Islam. Do you have a few minutes to go over those? Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to answer your question. I'm just simply saying, do you have a few minutes to talk about Islam? Right? Again, I'm not trying to pull a quick one on them. I wasn't sincerely trying to pull a quick one on the sister, right? But the reality is, I understood that there's an objective here, right? Okay, that's number one. Second thing, all right, I need to wrap this up a bit quick. All right, so number one is, how do you go from the question to initiation, right? Where does the conversation go? So simply put, someone asks you a question, I understand the question, thank you very much. If you have a few minutes, we need to understand the fundamentals. Is that true for any question? Yes? So someone says, I heard y'all Muslims just kill people left and right, and that's what you're supposed to do. Are you going to be like, oh, thank you, that's a very good question. But if you have a few minutes, no, it's not a blanket tool. What I'm saying is some question like, no, we don't do that, but perhaps the reason you think that, we can unravel that, so if you have a few minutes, let's talk about Islam. Right? Someone says, oh, you guys believe that God is a big green spaghetti monster in the sky. You're like, that's a very good question. If you have a few minutes, you can understand the fundamentals. No, right? So don't take it as an absolute. Understand it's a tool. Understand the question. Understand the person you're speaking to. All right, everyone good with me so far? Okay, I want to cover a few more points, and then we'll open it up for kind of general Q&A, and then wrap up the session. Okay? Because this was just introduction to get you to kind of understand where you're going and what you need to do. As far as the intricacies of atheism, we get into a lot of consciousness, objective morality, all sorts of crazy stuff, which is a different course altogether. Okay? So just FYI, IERA, the organization I work for, we actually do a course like that called the Divine Reality. And if you want a book reference related to atheism, it's called the Divine Reality. Right? But we do a course, it's a full day course. If you guys are interested, let me know afterwards. And we get into all of the various arguments and techniques of how to call someone who is of an atheist background. Okay? We also do one called the Eternal Challenge, so the science question. We talk about the philosophy of science and the Quran. Because a lot of times, let me just clarify this now. How many people believe that the Quran is scientific miracles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sisters? Okay. So what if I told you there are no scientific miracles in the Quran? Would you chase me out and kafir? Right? Because I've gotten that. Now here's what I'm trying, so there's a course we do, and what we're trying to show is that once you understand the philosophy of science, you understand that that idea is completely false. Because when you think about science as a philosophy, the grounding for science, we talk about aql, fitrah, etc., super rationality. What we understand is that science is mutable. It changes. You never have absolutes. That's why science is beautiful. You can discover new things, and that's why, so it's mutable. You're saying this mutable thing, you have observations, and then you have new observations, which render conclusions incorrect. You're taking this mutable thing and comparing it to the Quran, which is absolute. So this mutable thing to this Quran to show that this is true? Does that make sense? No. But if you understood the philosophy of science, it's what we call epistemic value, and you look at the epistemic value of the Quran, meaning how do you know it's true? You understand that the Quran is much higher. And so this course goes through the philosophy of science, deconstructs it, especially if you're doing evolutionary biology or whatever it might be, and you're into the physical sciences. This is another course we do. It's a long course, it's a full day course as well, comparing the epistemic value of science with the miracle, the true miracle of the Quran. Anyway, so that's my 2-minute pitch real quick. I'm going to come back to what I was talking about. So, a few other points. We said that rationality is not the only tool. What are some other tools? What are some other keys to unlocking the fitrah? Okay, so there's some. So we said rational arguments. Number 2 is experience. You know, we downplay these things because we think that rationality in the world that we live in, that's the only tool we have. But experience can be very powerful. You know, sometimes people say, like, if a non-Muslim comes and wants to pray with us, should we allow him to do that? And I say we absolutely should. Just that experience could bring him to Islam. You know, want to know something really ridiculous, like just funny? There was a guy, and he was asked, like, why did you come to Islam? I want you to think about this for a second. He says it's kind of, I don't really want to share it. We said, okay, well, why did you, just tell us. He said, I walked into the bathroom and I saw all of these people, all of these Muslims with their foot in the sink. Now I want you to think about something. When you're at work and you're washing your feet in the sink, if you're doing that, what are you thinking when the non-Muslim walks in? Oh my God, what's he going to think? He's going to think I'm so strange. Let me hurry up and finish up, right? He says, it occurred to me that these people are so pious that they even wash their feet before they stand before God. Right? And that's not, again, it's not like a purely rational argument where you have, like, you know, deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Nothing. Purely just, okay, this is now an experience that he's understanding. Okay, so experience is one. Spirituality. Spiritual experiences. Okay, that's another key. Again, I can't get into these things too deeply. Reflection. Reflecting on why you exist. You guys heard the airplane example that I always give? I've done this like numerous talks. Okay? In other words, like, imagine now that I'm talking to you and you just black out. Like right now, I want us all to imagine. Let's imagine, all right? So imagine now, I'm talking, all of a sudden, you black out. And when you open your eyes, you're on a plane. First class, right? So the seats are really big, everything's comfortable, and the temperature is just perfect, right? So you know how temperature is never just right? Like in the Masjid or whatever? The temperature in the plane is just perfect. And you're relaxed, and the scenery outside is just beautiful, right? And all of a sudden, after a few seconds, you smell something. What's your favorite food, man? Sushi. You smell sushi. And then it comes, and the host that's coming, they serve you the sushi. And you take a bite of the sushi and put in place whatever you like, biryani, whatever it might be, right? You take a bite, and oh, it is so good. It's like the best sushi you've ever had. Right? And you look outside the window and the scenery is just gorgeous. You know, that orange hue or whatever it might be, and you look at it, you're just like, wow. So here's the question. Would you be happy? Would you be content, happy? Everything's fine? Or would you be thinking, I was sitting in a classroom in Epic Masjid, I blacked out and now I'm on this plane. So wouldn't you be like, hold on a second. You would have questions that would be annoying you, right? Like, what would be some of the questions? What do you think? How did I get here, right? What else, sisters? What am I doing here, right? Why am I here? How did I get here? What about, where's the plane going? Like, who's the pilot? Where's the plane going? You're going to be like, wait a minute, what is going on? Right? So it doesn't matter about the food and everything else. And the reality is that is your life. You come into a state of consciousness and you have all of these delights, but as a Muslim, you know where the plane is going. You know where you're going to end up. You know exactly what's going to happen. So you're not bothered. You might get lost in the sushi, right? You know, innamal hayatu dunya, right? La'ib wa lahwa ila al-akhiri. But you might get lost in it. But the point is, you still know the pilot, where the plane is going. The people that don't know about Islam, they have no idea about that. And just like that person on the plane, they're in that state where it's like, where is this going, right? What is the purpose of my life? Why do I exist? See, the thing is, when we're talking about Dawah, we can't put ourselves in those shoes. Because maybe if we were born Muslims, we were never in those shoes. So now we have to understand that that's what people are experiencing. If they don't have Islam, that's what their state of confusion is. Whether they want to verbalize that or not. And you have the key to give it to them. So reflection on the purpose of their life, why they're here, what they're doing here, where they're going. And in addition to that, reminding them of the akhirah. These are all powerful things that are not rational arguments. You're gonna die, man. Very simple. There was a brother, his only dawah tool, I don't recommend this, that you only have one tool, he would only talk about the 3 questions in the grave. And he would get shahadas left and right. Look, man, when you're gonna die, you're gonna have 3 questions. Who is your Lord? Who is your prophet? What's your religion? How are you gonna answer? Khalas. The guy'd be like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, let me tell you what the answer is. This is what we believe. Boom. Where's the rational arguments? None. Experience. You know, we're talking about reflection. Last thing I'll mention about experience, I know I'm kind of going a little bit over time. When people say that rationality is your only tool, is experience a tool that you think is valid? I know I've spoken about it. Like, is it like a separate tool that you can use? So there's a certain experiment that was done back in 1985, Frank Jackson, right? And he did what's known as a thought experiment. He said, imagine now that there was a woman who is a, like she studied color theory. She has like a PhD in neural color theory or something like that, okay? So she knows color inside out. She studied it her whole life. But her whole life has been spent in a black and white room with a black and white monitor and black and white texts. But she knows what happens when you see red, these are the neural networks that are engaged. When you see green, these are the neural networks. So she knows that, but she's never seen color. Now, let's say her computer malfunctions and she sees a red apple. Has she gained new knowledge? Because she has knowledge. She's an expert. But the experience of seeing color for the first time, you can't invalidate that. And that's exactly what we mean, is that your only tool is not rationality. People experience, you can't downplay experience because it's very real, right? So taking all of these into consideration, your toolbox is not just rational arguments. It's experience, it's spirituality, reflection, character, and of course the Quran. I don't have time to get into it, but you could give people, sometimes you just give them ayat of the Quran and that is enough. You know, they do all these like social experiments and people are like, okay, so we'll just hear some Quran, they listen to it. There's people we know that just listen to the Quran, that was it. That's all they needed. Not even in English. Can you imagine? So I guess the purpose of this idea is, number one, you don't have to answer every single question. That's the thing you want to take home. Number two, your objective is to uncover the fitrah. Your objective is not to win the argument and give them the best rational arguments, right? Number three, your objective is to give them La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. How are you going to do that? Thank you for the question. If you have a few minutes, we need to talk about the basics of Islam and then take them straight to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. The fourth point, you have many tools. Don't just limit it to the arguments, okay? And so why I'm saying that is because for the next few days, as you're going to be going through some of the arguments, don't downplay other tools that you can use. Inshallah, Mufti Wasim will go through some of the rational arguments, inshallah, related to atheism. But I'm telling you, atheism is not a rational problem. It is a spiritual problem. It's not. Because the reality is, when you tell someone, okay, rationality is your own, prove to me God exists. Say, prove to me you need proof. But what are you going to do with that? You're trying to prove everything. You know what they're saying? If I don't believe something unless you prove it, it's saying that I doubt everything. That's what they're saying. Right? But there's a problem with that. Because if you're going to ask why, you can't ask why infinitely. Like I sometimes tell people, I say, look, like my son, he's in the kitchen, takes out a knife. I say, put that back. He's like, why? I'm like, because it's sharp and it'll cut you. He's like, why? I'm like, because that's how they manufactured it. He's like, why? I'm like, well, because it's used for cutting things, like apples. He's like, why? I'm like, because apples are logistically better to eat when they're cut. Why? You know, at a certain point, as his dad, I'm just going to be like, because I said so! Give me the knife, put it, right? Whatever it might be, okay? You can't ask why infinitely. So someone says that I'm not going to believe it unless it's proven to me, you have to go right to the foundation. Say, hold on a second. You can't prove everything. You have to have something upon which you have a stopping point. Because if you're saying, I need to know why, what you're saying is I doubt everything. That's what you're saying. But if you doubt everything, you have to doubt your doubt, which leaves you intellectually paralyzed. Do you get what I'm saying? So don't get caught up with this being your only tool. That's kind of the take-home point, which was number 4 or 5, something like that. Okay? All right. So, the fitrah, your job is to uncover it. You have other tools. And your main objective is to get them to tawheed. So I'm going to break here. It's 5:20. Where's our salon? Did you just take off? Hey, how are we doing on time? I'm not really looking at the cards. I'm kind of lost track. We're done? How about Q&A? Okay, so let's go to do some Q&A. For how long? 10 minutes? Okay. So we'll do some Q&A for 10 minutes. If anyone has questions. Yes, sister. So, okay, you have to be... Can we give you the mic so that we can all hear it? Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakumullah khairan for the valuable lecture. I have, you lost me actually at the point when your technique on trying to convince the lady about, if Adam and Jesus, alayhim salam, if they, I think you said they sinned and that's why you feel bad about charity, giving charity. You're supposed to feel bad. I didn't understand.
So what I said is that when you give charity, she said, I feel good.
Yes.
Okay. So what I said is that you feel good because of your fitrah.
Yes.
You're created good, right? But I said if you take your belief, because their belief is that Adam alayhi salam sinned and that all human beings have that sin. That's what they believe.
They said that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, of course. Most Christians, I'm not saying all Christians, but her belief was...
He took the blame for, they are forgiven because he took their sins away. This is
Yes, exactly. So Jesus died for their sins.
Yes.
But the base of the human being, according to them, is sin.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I said if it's sin, it means that your reality is evil. You're bad. Right? We say Allah created you good. They say because of the sin, you're bad. So I said when you give charity, you should feel bad because you did something good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's an approach.
Okay. Wayaki, inshallah. Yes. Actually, let's get the... Okay, yeah, let's go ahead. I'll try to... Okay.
You come to a point where you want to start with the basics.
Yes.
So what is the best way to...
Okay. So if you get to the point where, like, if you have a few minutes, let's talk about the basics. What do you do next? That's the next 7 weeks. We have a technique that we use in Ayura. It's called GoRap. It's called GORAP. GoRap. If you want to look it up online, there's videos on it on YouTube. And it takes you through God's existence, oneness, revelation, and prophethood. So it's a map by which you can use. Okay? So it's GoRap, G-O-R-A-P. And if you do a search on YouTube, I think the original founder, Abdurrahim Green, actually goes through it in a video series. So that's a good tool to use. But I didn't get into that because today's the introductory session. That stuff is going to be coming later, the exact techniques and where do you go from there. I'm just trying to get you to there, inshallah. Yes?
So far we only talked about if we are confronted with a question.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so now this gets into a different area. Okay, how do you talk to coworkers? How do you talk to neighbors? How do you talk to fellow students, right? Etc. So the thing is, with, like, let's say neighbors, okay, there are certain things that you can do where you can use, for instance, Islamic holidays, for instance, right? So you have, like, the end of Ramadan, it's Eid, or the beginning of Ramadan. You can give them a gift box. So one of the things that we have is this pamphlet called A Gift for Your Neighbor. So it comes in a nice gift box, you give it to them, and you can present it to them. However, you always want to establish rapport. Just going to the house and, like, hello, we're Muslim, here's a box, thank you, bye. Like, it's just, you want to establish rapport, right? So every situation, whether it's at work, whether it's at your neighbors, you want to kind of reach out to them. So instead of just giving them a box on Islam right off the bat, maybe you want to bake some cookies and send it over, right?
So once you break the rapport,
Yeah.
I guess my question is, do you just like in the other conversations, you always have the agenda to walk it towards Tawheed?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right. Yeah, of course. As long as they understand that we believe in Allah, that He's the only one worthy of worship, and the Prophet ﷺ is the last messenger, you've given them what they need. And then obviously, but you're not going to stop. You're like, oh, I've done my job, khalas, I'm going to go. I mean, you keep on kind of reinforcing that and make it a natural conversation, right? One of the things I don't want us to do is have conversations that are really awkward, right? Because sometimes people do that. But you want to make it natural, but at the same time, you understand your objective is tawheed, establish rapport, and then start to invite them out, lunch, dinner, whatever it might be, you know. But always give them at least the idea. Like, you know, the thing is it's Ramadan, and, you know, it's a really beautiful time because we get to reconnect with our Maker, right? Because that's what we believe our purpose in life is, etc. You know? Yeah.
So what are some strategies or tools to use in giving Dawah to someone young, my age, living with their parents, having pressure?
Oh, man. So what are the tools for someone your age? How old are you? 15. Oh, man. Okay. So one of the things, again, you'd probably go down the neighbor route as well. You have to establish rapport. It's never going to be like, here's, you know, a pamphlet and see you later, right? So kind of, you know, obviously you want to make friends with them, hang out. I'll tell you something really weird. When I was growing up, maybe it just goes back to like why I like Dawah so much. There was a guy that was in my neighborhood named Tom. And he would come over, we were friends. And I remember he would come over, and then one day Tom came over, and you know, who's here from the subcontinent, India, Pakistan? All right, you guys know what achar is? So it's like this pickled mango or pickled onions, whatever, they're pickled. It's like this specialty dish. And so at the time, this was Alaska, so I used to live there. And so I was like, spent young years there. Anyway, so at the time, my mom, she would make this in the backyard. And there's like this achar. So Tom comes over one day, he's like, yo, I want some achar. I'm like, yo, man, you can't have it unless you're Muslim. So I was like, fine, I'll become Muslim. So I gave him the shahada, and I'm like 9, 10, from what I remember. I gave him a shahada, I went down to my grandmother. I'm like, you know what, he became Muslim. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, I told him he has to have a chahada if he wants some cover. And she was like, what's wrong with you, right? Like, what is it, are you crazy? What do you mean? You give him the chahada, he doesn't become Muslim. Anyway, sorry, just kind of went off track. So how do you deal with that? A, get some achar. No, I'm kidding. But generally, you want to establish rapport, like I mentioned, and then you want to speak about things that can actually bring the person back to tawheed, okay? Things that you know that affect you, okay? So for instance, you know the person is like a deep thinker. They think about death. Okay, well, that's a great place to start. Like, look, man, what are we doing here? What's the purpose of our life? Whatever it might be. You think someone that's just like, you know, totally into video games and they have they could care less if they died tomorrow or not. That's a different dynamic. From that case, you need to kind of move somewhere else and kind of get them to the point where they're like, okay, start thinking about things in a little more deep fashion. Does that make sense? So I think the main issue in that context is to get them to think about things that are what they call existential, that are about their existence, as opposed to Islam is good because we have a char. I mean, we don't have a char either, so I'm sure others, like, anyways. So that's a different question altogether, right? Like if you convert, my parents will do this, etc. That's going to be a situational basis. And what I would recommend is that when Sheikh Yusha comes back, if it's a personal situation, situational, that's, you know, that person, then you can talk to him about that, inshallah. Allahu alam. Actually, there's a brother back there. Yes? English translation of the Quran. Yes. Sure. So we have literature here. We have this thing called the Quran, A Short Journey. And it's got like ayat of the Quran and, you know, some information and things like that, okay? We have a few other things, and we can talk about that afterwards. Or you can go to iera.org and look at that, right? So it's iera.org. Yes? We work together, alhamdulillah. Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's fine. I mean, whatever you have is fine. I'm just saying, because I know the material, I can kind of, you know. We work together all the time, right? Yeah. So, but in terms of the Quran, so there's a Quran called the Clear Quran. And I think it's called the Islamic Foundation, the Quran Foundation. They actually give them out free. Like if you write to them, they'll send you a box. It's called the Clear Quran by Dr. Mustafa Al-Khattab. Mustafa Al-Khattab. This one is arranged thematically. And so we've experienced that For a non-Muslim, it's great because it's broken down by themes as opposed to just a straight order. So that's one I would recommend. Inshallah, we're actually reviewing that in-house as well to see if that'll be our official Dawah material for IRA as well. So, inshallah. Anybody else? Actually, let me get back to... Yes? Yes?
A sister has a question about what you should tell your neighbor about touching dogs. She tells her daughter not to touch it because it's dirty.
Wait. So speak up just a little bit.
Okay. A sister has a question about what you should tell your neighbors about touching dogs.
Okay.
And she tries to make her daughter understand that it's dirty and that there's bugs. And her neighbor told her daughter that she cleans it and it's clean, so you can.
So touching dogs, no touching dogs.
Yeah, and so she's asking what should she tell her neighbor.
So what I would do is, when Sheikh Yasir Qadi comes back, or if he comes, that's a Sheikh Yasir Qadi question, inshallah. Okay. There's another one? Or is that it? Okay. So I'm going to give sisters a second one. Is that okay? Do I have your permission, brothers? All right. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's good.
Okay, so I have a 6-year-old who constantly asks me where God came from. And there is no way I can convince him that there is no start, because he says, I can imagine there is no end, but there has to be a start. So how do I answer that?
He's 6 or she's 6?
He's 6.
6 years old. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I have the whole gamut of ages too. So I wish I could tell you, like, yeah, here you go. I mean, I could tell you, like, from a philosophical point of view, you have the idea of like infinite regress. So logically, there's no way for it to happen. But that's not going to work for a 6-year-old.
Right.
Right? So maybe you might have to hang that in abeyance and then wait till he's a bit more mature, where he can actually understand the idea of like things like infinite regress. Do you know what I mean by infinite regress?
I can look it up.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and look it up, and I think Mufti Wasim will cover it, inshallah.
Okay, exactly.
Jazakallah khair. So can we do one more question? Because I promised. Who did I have? You had one? Okay, Bismillah. Ibrahim, right? Okay. Speak up just a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
One common one I hear is that why do we give Dawah to non-Muslims when there are Muslims that are in need of Dawah also?
Sure.
Like to bring them back to the house. What do you tell those people?
Look, I mean, everyone is entitled to guidance, whether they're Muslim or not Muslim, right? So we're not saying don't give dawah to Muslims. That's not the idea, right? But we're saying in the context that you're in, if you're not going to do it, who else is going to do it? Does that make sense? So we're not saying don't call Muslims to make them better, to have Islah, etc. I mean, that's an important part of our deen as well, right? That if someone's doing something wrong, you want to correct them, you want to bring them closer to Islam, bring them to the Masjid. We're not negating that. But what we're saying is that don't forget where you are, your specific context, living in, Dallas, Texas, or Plano, Texas, and that you have an ocean of non-Muslims. On the Day of Judgment, they're going to ask you, man. Like I met Ibrahim in the bus or in class. He never once, I'm not saying this about you specifically, but they never once told me about Islam, right? So you want to kind of, in a sense, and it's kind of selfish, but protect yourself from that, right? So we're not saying don't give dawah to Muslims. We're just saying that, Muslims need dawah and non-Muslims need dawah, right? Inshallah. Allah knows best. Okay, so that was the last question. We have to wrap it up there. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your patience, for sitting through my presentation, whatever it might be. And if I said anything that was bad, incorrect, or offensive, it wasn't my intention, so please forgive me for that. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.